Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Come on in, take your seats. We'll be getting started shortly as we prepare to say goodbye to the Brooklyn Nets defense. It was a fantastical display of ineptitude. Hurts your eyes to see. I had to watch it twice. Do you know how long it takes to watch the offensive possessions of a game where a team scores 153 points? It's rough out there. But it's always a great day to talk basketball. And with that, I thank you for coming today. Wednesday, the 16th of November. Thanksgiving is around the corner. And as we get ready to head into winter, we have to look back as the year's almost over. And it's time to reflect and say some things that I'm thankful for in terms of the NBA. But I'm definitely not thankful for that Brooklyn Nets display of defense last night. 153 points scored by the Sacramento Kings against the Brooklyn Nets in regulation, ladies and gentlemen. That means there was no overtime. Did you know that in 1992, the Golden State Warriors put up 153 points against the New Jersey Nets? That took an overtime. Or did you ever forget, don't forget, the 2006 game, double overtime, where the Phoenix Suns defeated those New Jersey Nets 161 to 157. 2 overtimes, ladies and gentlemen. But last night, the Sacramento Kings went down in history in the Brooklyn Nets history book. Like, they can't escape this because the Sacramento Kings have now scored the most points against the Brooklyn Nets or any Nets team in regulation, passing the San Antonio Spurs 151 to 110 drubbing all the way back in 1978. Ladies and gentlemen, that is almost 50 years ago. Almost 50 years has it been since the Brooklyn Nets gave up over 150 points in regulation. It is phenomenal to see such a successful offense. And they scored 121, so it's not like the Sacramento Kings played major defense. It's been good. It's been good. Good morning. Wednesday, November 16th, half a slate of games, only 5. And I tell you what, every game told a story last night. Every game told a story. CJ McCollum is back. After taking the first 13 games off in the season, he decided to show up. 30 points and 9 assists in a 113-102 victory over the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis without Desmond Bane for 2 to 3 weeks due to a right toe. He'll be reevaluated. Ja Morant, 36, 8, and 4 in the loss. He had 24 first half points, but too much. Pelicans were too much. And we begin to wonder, can Memphis survive? Even though they have the return of Jaren Jackson Jr. last night into the starting lineup after missing the bulk of the beginning of the season and the offseason, he'll hit us up. He'll be good. He got in last night. 5 blocks, ladies and gentlemen. The offense will come when he gets, up to game speed. The Dallas Mavericks avoid a almost record-breaking second half collapse to hold on and secure victory over the Los Angeles Clippers, 103-101. Luka Doncic, 35 points, 11 boards, 5 assists, and a really weird reaction to a wild three-pointer that he shushed his own crowd. Don't know what's going on in Dallas, but something isn't right. I don't know if it's a Jason Kidd communication thing. Maybe it's a trust thing. But man, I just hate the fact that they can't put a consistent product next to Luka. Paul George, 23, 7, and 6 in the loss. Nicholas Batum, 7 for 7 from 3 for 22 points. He added a free throw. But that's about it. Like the story in LA is they need Kawhi. If they don't have Kawhi, it's it. This is what you're looking at, a 500 team. The Knicks, after a players-only dinner, of course, with the media completely overreacting to this, calling it a players-only meeting, alluding to the last time there was a players-only meeting, the previous coach, David Fizdale, was fired. They go into Utah and beat the Jazz, 118-111. Jalen Brunson, 25 points, 8 assists. R.J. Barrett was far more aggressive, even though he didn't make most of his shots. Julius Randle kind of had an off game, but he also had a game where he's starting to try to learn how to not be Julius Randle. That's got to be real hard. You go through your whole life being one person, and then all of a sudden it dawns on you that you got to be somebody else. That was Julius Randle last night. Finally realizing he needed to be someone other than the Julius Randle we all knew. The Trailblazers stay on top of the Western Conference with the 117-110 win over the San Antonio Spurs. The score is far closer than what the game was. Every time that the Spurs tried to get close in the third quarter, Portland just came back and said no. But I do want to say, give a shout out to Trey Jones. He didn't really shoot well, 1 for 6. But if you watch the San Antonio Spurs, he had been out the last couple of games, and they had not been able to do anything offensively. He came back. Offense is back to kind of normal. Jakob Poeltl, 31, 14, and 5, increasing that trade value. And you know what? We got to have an honest discussion about the Blazers. We started it yesterday with Dia Miller, by the way, starting a great podcast with Adam Drexler, Clyde Drexler's son. So if you ever need some Portland Trailblazers on your timeline, make sure you shoot her a follow when she comes in here. The Brooklyn Nets, again, they travel to Sacramento, and I lived there for 10 years, so I kind of get it. Maybe they were out in the Thomas when they should have been in Roseville. Who knows? But, man, whatever happened, it was brutal. 153-121. Terrence Davis, former Toronto Raptor, out of nowhere. 31 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. And the amazing thing, ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't even matter if he had a regular career game. That's how good the Kings played last night. He could have had his regular 8 points, and the Kings still would have won. Convincingly, too. Kevin Durant, 27, 4, and 6. It got so bad last night, Nets Twitter, shout out to Saint. They were crying to put Day'Ron Sharpe in the game. That's when you know you're bad. All right, those were your scores last night. There's some news and notes to get to as well. There's some college to get to. And in fact, there's also women's college basketball news that, kind of is going to set the stage for what I think is the next renaissance in the WNBA, as we're looking at a new generation following the footsteps of Asia Wilson's success. We'll see Aaliyah Boston being drafted number 1 by the Indiana Fever. But last night, or yesterday afternoon, and geez, look at that. My computer froze. Nice. The number 1 recruit for the women's college basketball chose USC following the footsteps of Shara Miller. Judea Watkins, Juju, as she's called, is going to shift the world in women's college basketball, because if another team can come in and start getting these recruiting classes similar to the likes of South Carolina and Stanford, that's going to change the dynamic. And I think what we'll see is a more return on investment with universities targeting high level women recruits. I think that's a good sign. All right. I want to give some shout outs down below. If you want to come on up, do me the favor, like and retweet the show card. That tells everybody that we are here, that we are open for business as we always are, Monday through Friday, here on Twitter Spaces. And I'm going to go ahead and hit this one because we're just so used to it. Brought to you by Slam Goods, ladies and gentlemen. Slamgoods.com, part of the Slam Online Network. And if remember, if you're a certain age, they had a magazine called Slam. And I actually read it every time it came out. I read that. I read Dime, Double XL from time to time. And then ESPN magazine came out, and that was pretty dope for a while. But over the time, like things change. And when we created this digital world now, they moved online to slamonline.com. And like they are actually able to grow themselves. So Slam Goods is part of Slam Online, and it's their online marketplace, and it specializes in apparel and collectibles. I personally love the Rewind series. So if you head over to slamgoods.com now, use promo code HoopSpaces, save 15%. And I'm telling you now, you cannot go wrong picking up the Kobe Bryant trilogy. You can't. There you go. Slamgoods.com, promo code HoopSpaces, save 15%. I see some people in here that are popping in here every day. I want to say thank you to Kent, Just 30, TJ, our man Jose, Justin Patton, Yankees in the building, 6 to 12. I saw your hand come up there. What's up, Scotty, Kenny, Jordan, Sonny, CT. It's a great day, Zach. Appreciate you, Evan. Bleacher Mob is in the building. Victoria, Bonkai, Rouse Pels, Killer Gaddafi, and my man Miles. All right. If you want a mic, go ahead and raise it. That was just a new opening monologue. I'm trying to get ready to diversify some of the content to go ahead and put my voice even more out there because for whatever reason, man, nobody wants to hire your boy. Like, they must be thinking I'm making buku bucks over here. I ain't making jack. Like, it's hilarious. We will start with 6 of the 12. 6 of the 12. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Chris. How are you, sir?
Well, you know what? It's starting to snow. I watched every game in its entirety because I stayed up to watch the Artemis 1 rocket, which launched off successfully at 1:57 a.m. Eastern Time. Went to bed at 2:30 just to get up at 4. It's been awesome.
Man, that's an experience for sure. Were you able to catch the Pelicans game last night?
Yeah, man.
Memphis?
Yep. I watched the entirety of the game. I also watch it using the oh geez, I already forgot what the TNT overtime view. So I get the quad panel frame. So I'm actually watching like the entire game, and I was very impressed with CJ McCollum. He looked like the CJ from the trade deadline. He looked more confident where he wanted to go to get his best shot, and he did a far better job of using his hot shooting last night to also set up his teammates, specifically Lance when he came in. He hit him on an open backdoor cut, which was classic Willie Green offense. So yeah, a really really good win. Tempered with the fact that Memphis brought back Tripp, who's coming off of an injury with his foot, and then they were out without Bane. So it's still a dominant win in terms of what they needed to do. They got it done without Zion Williamson.
Yeah, it's just funny that we bring up CJ McCollum after I think it was what Ryan a couple of days ago asked the question about the highest efficient scorer points per possession against ISO, and the lowest was it was CJ and Zion, right? So it was really good to see CJ kind of bring back what we saw last year after the All-Star break for this team. I think my main takeaway from the game last night, and honestly this whole season, last year when Herb Jones was a rookie, playing defense, it was a masterful class, for us watching him every single game. But there were some calls that he was getting like against him, right? Like fouls, like just stupid fouls that the referees were giving him. And we were like, all right, look, he's a rookie. He's not proven himself yet. Maybe next year, next couple of years, he'll start getting, benefit of the doubt calls. But man, like the referees have really started to annoy our fan base as far as how we play defense. Herb Jones, every single game, he gets 2 fouls in the first 4 or 5 minutes. And it really throws off his entire game. He can't get into a rhythm defensively or offensively. And just from watching him last year to this year, it actually kind of changed the way he plays defense now. He's not allowed to really get up in their face and create havoc like we are accustomed to seeing him like play last year. And I think that's a really big thing for us right now is like I know every NBA fan base says this about their team, but if you watch the Pelicans play night in night out whenever they play, it's like there's a lot of calls, and you even see CJ McCollum, the president of NBA basketball, for the Players Association, kind of get really upset last night, and like he's not that emotional player, and even after the game, speaking on TNT, he mentioned he's like, look, like like we weren't getting fair calls, and I had to let them know about it. So that's the one thing that really irks me. But I will say, get used to Dyson Daniels, our rookie, 19-year-old, player. He can be a guard, he can be a wing, he can basically guard 1 through 4. It's good to see Willie Green kind of starting to unleash him, because as a fan base, we're sitting here saying, guys, we have a 6'7", almost a 6'8" guard-like ability that can play wing, that can play guard, and can guard multiple positions. That's kind of what we're missing when, Herb goes down with fouls. Even though we have a Najee Marshall who has been playing really well for us, it's really good to see him get some minutes last night. And guys, I'm telling y'all right now, Jose Alvarado, he's already a fan favorite. Like I tweeted out last night, we may have Zion Williamson, we may have Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, but I mean he's probably my most liked favorite Pelican, and I really hope that he can that we can keep him for his whole career. He lights this energy under our team that anytime he steps on the court, you can hear the fans. If you ever go to a game, it's just like Jose's in the game, something's going to change. We're going to have electric ability. And he was plus, I think he was plus 13, plus 14 last night. At one point, he was plus 10. He only played 8 minutes in the game. So that was big for us. But, biggest takeaway is, man, Ja Morant's different. I mean, he's something that we haven't seen since AI, and he has way more athletic ability than AI does. It's kind of scary to see how good he can be. And his attitude, is just like no one can guard me. He even said it last night. He was just like, they can't guard me. So it was really hard to, not be able to watch Herb lock him up just because of how much foul trouble he was in. But that was my takeaway, man. And y'all have a great day.
All right. Appreciate it. 6 of the 12. Dope Pels community. Rails Pels, if you want some Pelicans on your timeline as well, host a podcast covering the Pelicans, 6 of the 12, and the whole crew over on basically Pelican Spaces Twitter. Has lived an up and down time. Like we went into the season, y'all remember, saying that these Pelicans were on the verge of greatness, that they were super deep. And what did we learn, ladies and gentlemen? We learned that it's very, very hard to win in the NBA. That's what we learned. Looking good, though. If everybody gets back healthy, they'll be fine. I will say, I've watched every game, and I will tell you this. Every game, every team has had a game in terms of officiating like the Pelicans had last night. Usually happens once every 8 or 9 games. It's such a disparity. And I don't know how it happens, but it happens. Last night was pretty egregious. They had 6 fouls within the first 4 minutes and 10 seconds of the game. Like they had more fouls than minutes played. And if you've all watched basketball, like it's the first 4 minutes. Usually it's like 8-4. Like they take time to warm up. They warm up and then they stop and get cold and then they stretch and then they jump and play and it takes them a couple minutes to warm back up, right? It's like it's rare that they're going to be popping off 15, 16 points in the first 4 minutes. And yet somehow in the first 4 minutes they get 6 fouls. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, this is going to be a long ass game. Do want to give some credit to a couple of Memphis Grizzlies players. John Conchar, I said, would be able to shoot. He only got 6 shots, but he actually was one of the better Grizzlies players last night. 37 minutes, 8 boards, 2 assists, and a steal. I also want to say Brandon Clark is going to earn that contract extension he signed, and he's literally going to be a walking double-double off the bench if they give him 28 minutes, which is what I think they should. Because I don't think Dylan Brooks needs the 37 minutes unless he's in there for injury, which is what happened. 6 for 18, 19 points, and a couple of shots that just killed any of the Memphis Grizzlies' momentum. All right, I want to say what's up to everybody who's just made their way in here. Go ahead and like and retweet the show card so I can go ahead and bring you up on stage. That's just the way that I have to kind of do this now to ensure that I get the engagement support that I need to continue to grow the community hoop spaces that we've been here every day, Monday through Friday of the season. And total time, y'all not going to believe this. We have spent together over 240 days talking basketball. And if you can hop in here for 240 days, I think you can probably hop in here and do a like and a retweet to help me out. I kind of get frustrated. I'm not going to lie. I kind of get frustrated. I'd be seeing like 66, 84, 113, 200 people in the room. And yet somehow we always top out at about 30 people, 30 to 38. And I'd like to get that into the 50s. And I want to get into the 60s. So help a brother out. Micah, thank you for always wanting to help out, coming up and sharing your takes and sharing the positivity and love of basketball by retweeting the show card. Appreciate you, my man. Your opening take on your Dallas Mavericks surviving the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, good morning to you, Chris. I am always happy to support you and talk hoops. So, opening take, look, I think Kirk Henderson said it best. Expectations are the thief of joy. So, if anybody came into this with this roster looking the way it is and expecting them to win games off of anything other than the strength of Luka, that's a you thing. At the end of the day, I'm happy about the win. I am seeing a pattern that's gross about us dropping big leads. That is worrisome because it's pretty much what Utah was last season. And I think, I'm just seeing, they basically look like what I expected. Pretty much a 5th seed, and with a favorable matchup in the first round, probably a 2nd round exit. That's my open take. Hey, let me say this real quick. KD is starting to have a pattern in his interviews. Unfortunate truth and then a bold-faced lie. When he said in that interview that we don't have anybody outside of Luka that can dribble. There's your unfortunate truth. And then he said, we play straight up defense. Do you now? You just gave up 153 points to the Kings. I don't see anything straight up about that except for straight up bad. That's my opening take.
Yeah, he's been catching some flack for that. The issue when he's saying straight up is he's saying they're playing straight man without any additional keys or switches, and when you do that, you can run into the risk of getting run off the floor, which is what happened. Like any deflection to that point, yeah, it won't work. And you have to also understand, like, these games happen. Every team has had a game like that. And just like the Dallas Mavericks, every team has had a game like that. They were up. They dominated the first half. If you didn't watch it, like they were on pace to win the game by 50. And they won by 2. And by the way, shout out to 77 Spaces last night holding another phenomenal pregame. I gave my prediction. My prediction yesterday was the Clippers win 103 over the Dallas Mavericks 99. And look at what the score was. It was Mavs 103, Clippers 101. Yeah, I think I'm locked in. I like it. All right, if you're down below and you want to come on up, go ahead, like and retweet the show card up top so I can get that support. Killer Gaddafi's up here. Mike is up here. 6 of the 12. Jay the Wakandan and EK. We got Air Maxi loading up, and Bakari, for some reason, seems as though he's trying to sneak in here during school hours. We'll talk to him. Up next, we'll say what's up and good morning to Jay the Wakandan Tech Support. Good morning, Jay.
Dang, you gotta give me like a lead in, like, hey, we're finna get to Jay once we talk to so and so. Like,
So I
good morning,
gotta do the work for you.
No, I'm just saying, man. Like, give me like I don't know, man. Like, I wasn't expecting it. My phone was locked. I was watching. I'm in the middle of rewatching the Grizzly Pelicans because I was furious last night. Um, but good morning.
Good morning.
SWAC basketball, baby. The Jackson State women beat Texas Tech. We protected the house in the Pac-12 SWAC Challenge. Prairie View won. Alcorn won. Texas Southern won. And they beat Pac-12 teams. So, and then there were, like I said, Jackson State women won. And I wanted to say there was another women's SWAC basketball team that won. But I can't remember the school. I'm going to look that up. But SWAC basketball is back.
All right. You know who else is back? Michigan State. I watched that game. Double overtime thriller. I had to watch it on my computer. Shit was crazy. Air Max, Bakari, like and retweet the show card. I haven't seen it yet, so I ain't bringing you up. Jay, Memphis is in trouble. And the reason why they're in trouble is they employ a basketball player by the name of Dylan Brooks, who, when Desmond Bane, now out with injury, is not in the lineup, believes that he is Desmond Bane. 6 for 19. And a couple of those shots, man, like the cutaway to Taylor Jenkins was beautiful because Taylor Jenkins had zero response to a couple of those shots, and yet he still played 38 minutes. What's up with the Memphis Grizzlies, and are they going to be able to survive without Desmond Bane? And what do you think Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be able to actually provide? Because he was gassed pretty early, as expected. And how long do you think that ramp up's going to be?
He's a big. I expect for that ramp up to be a month, so I'm expecting him to be cool by the Christmas game. Yeah, Taylor Jenkins is the white Doc Rivers. It's all hand claps and believe, play hard, and we can do this, guys. We just got to play hard, do the things we talked about, and believe, hand clap, break huddle, Bill Street on 3. Because he comes from the Mike Budenholzer tree, and Mike Budenholzer runs a jump shot offense. It is designed to generate jump shots, and this team, when it doesn't have Desmond Bane, doesn't have any jump shooters except for Tyus Jones. Ja is slowly but surely folding that into his game. I appreciate that, but it's an issue where Taylor needs to be way more disciplinarian and way less players coach. And there are just things that the Grizzlies don't do that are fundamental. Like they jump at every pump on closeouts. When they they don't know how to make a post entry pass. Like there was a couple of times, well, probably more than a couple, where Jaren runs down the floor, he seals his man, and everybody's looking him off. So then Jaren just hides out in the corner. So Jaren played 25 minutes. Of those 25 minutes, a solid 15 of them, he was the tallest guy on the floor by at least 4 inches. And there just wasn't any thing of, hey, let's get them in a rhythm by getting them easy shots in the rim. Hey, let's get them in an easy rhythm by um, letting them post up on a guard on a switch. There was none of that.
Well, let's be
And
fair though. He's never been deemed as a post player.
he's never been deemed as a post player, but when he was at Michigan, Izzo had him at the Michigan State. I'm sorry, Izzo had him at the post. He has those moves in his repertoire. It's just a matter of designing an offense where he knows, hey, I'm gonna get 10 touches in the post. I think I think Jenkins says, hey, Jaren, where do you want to shoot? And Jaren says, well, I want to shoot threes, coach. And Jenkins says, all right, well, we're gonna run Ja off his pick, and he's gonna look for you in the corner. And that's not the way this team is gonna win. Um, and it's the same thing with Dylan Brooks. Like Dylan Brooks, inside the free throw line, I trust the shot. Like I feel good about it. He got to the line 6 times of out of the 9 shots that weren't 3 pointers. You see what I'm saying? So I don't mind Dylan playing downhill. I don't mind Dylan taking 18 shots. It's just 9 of them can't be threes.
Well,
Especially above the break, non-passing possession threes.
uh,
Those are the ones that are just momentum killers, and like Jake LaRavia didn't play, but that's what Jake LaRavia was drafted to be. He was supposed to be the guy that when Taylor Jenkins calls a quick timeout and yanks Dylan, you put in Jake LaRavia.
well,
Like that's why he was drafted, and that's not what Jenkins is doing. And so what you have is a team that fundamentally is regressing, but skill wise, they're young, yeah, they're getting better, but the fundamentals aren't there, and you see it in their play.
let me bring EK in here as well. EK, did you catch the Memphis New Orleans game? If so, what's your take? Say good morning to the good people. I see Air Maxi ready to go. Bakari and Miles are up here as well. And after this, we'll get ready to move over directly to the Clippers and Mavs. And then we got some Knicks and Jazz talk, hoping that Sean will be able to pop in here as well. So go ahead, EK, take it over.
Yes, sir. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, Chris?
Yep, we got you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good morning to you, brother. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody got a chance to see some great college basketball last night. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Jada Wakanda said last night. In regards to the SWAC, they've been looking really good so far. Also, I want to shout out, obviously, the Michigan State Spartans for beating Kentucky. In addition to UNLV upsetting number 21 Dayton last night. And also, I want to still stand on college real quick. There is a player in NCAA women's basketball by the name of Anissa Morrow. She's a forward for the DePaul Blue Demons. If you've never gotten a chance to see her play, please do so. Because last night in a loss, she had 42 and 15 in 37 minutes. Right now, she's averaging 30 and 12 through 3 games, and she's a sophomore. Last year, she averaged like 22 and 12 or something like that, something stupid. So, shout out to her in the loss. But back to the Memphis and the Memphis game last night, Memphis and the Pelicans. I agree with Jay. I like Dylan Brooks as a player. I think when he's getting downhill, that's when he's at his best. I think what happens is he gets so comfortable and gets so drawn into taking a lot of these ill-advised threes that what ends up happening when you take those ill-advised threes, especially when you're not able to hit them at a high percentage, it just gives the defense time to, defensively rebound effectively and then leak out for easy transition buckets, right? And with the Pelicans, when you have guys like CJ and guys like Brandon Ingram and guys who can run the wing and really score in transition, that leaves you susceptible to easy scoring like that. Uh, Also, with the advent of having Triple J back, and obviously, he did look winded, but I'm not really worried about that. Honestly, I think he's going to get back to it probably before Christmas. I think he'll probably get back to it probably second week of December. I think he'll probably be okay. But this shows how valuable Desmond Bane is. When he's available, all of a sudden you have a guy who can not only put it on the floor and score, but he can stretch the defense. He has the ability to stretch the defense so much to the point where guys start overcommitting to him, and now you have guys who are able to run the lanes for open baskets at the rim. Right, it makes Ja that much better. Right, so I feel like until Dylan Brooks has the ability to understand that he can't take a lot of these ill-advised shots that he's used to taking, um, the Grizzlies are going to be in a somewhat precarious position until they get back Desmond Bane. And also, I agree. No, I don't agree. I think saying Taylor Jenkins is like Glenn is a slight to Taylor Jenkins. He's not like Glenn.
You're
Because
right. He doesn't have a championship.
Oh, Chris, you beat me to it. He don't got a ring.
that's awesome. He doesn't have a ring, but he also doesn't have a lot of failures. And he also hasn't had a whole bunch of Hall of Famers to coach yet. So let's hold off.
So he
Taylor
has
Jenkins is a
so he
failure.
has lower expectations.
I ain't gonna lie, hit you with my.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why I was trying to stop you. He has lower expectations, is what you're saying,
Not
EK.
about low expectations, Chris. It's about if I have a lot of talent at my disposal, I'm supposed to do well. Right? We've had this conversation before. We're going to continue to have the conversation. That's the only thing I really disagree with you, Jay, on is the fact I don't think Taylor Jenkins is like Glenn because he has a chance to actually continue to succeed or to succeed. Right? Give him 4 Hall of Famers and see what he does with those 4 Hall of Famers. That's all.
Wait, no.
Probably wins more than one ring.
Well, no. Let me
Exactly.
ask you this.
He does.
Well,
And that's my point.
Well, let me ask you this: when you was watching this show, when you was watching the game, and Willie Green decides, you know what, I'm gonna take Valanciunas off the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and then we never see Steven Adams again. I literally asked in the group chat, "Is Steven Adams dead? Like, what's going on?" Right? Because the first play of the game, they overhelped on the jaw drive. Ja throws a little lob to Steven Adams. It's free throws, right? And Valanciunas isn't in the game. So Taylor Jenkins' inability to have a plan B once plan A is not working, it's not great.
Also,
And you know what happens to Doc Rivers teams when plan A doesn't work? It's not great.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how you blow three.
it's hand
That's
claps all around, brother.
also
that's how
Doc
you blow a
Rivers
lot of
has
3-1, 3-2 leads.
he has a higher career winning percentage than Taylor Jenkins. Greatness, ladies and
When you
gentlemen.
coach 11 Hall of Famers, that tends to happen.
11 Hall of Famers is crazy, man.
Come on,
There's
man.
only you're exaggerating,
Greatness.
bro. You're
But
exaggerating.
what's more important is that Jaren Jackson Jr. played 25 minutes, only one personal foul. That's gross.
Wow. What's really gross is understanding that Taylor Jenkins is a very interesting coaching prospect. And that if he were to happen to have 17 more years of this continued success, he would still not have as many wins and still have a lower winning percentage than one Doc Rivers.
Give Taylor Jenkins, let's give Taylor Jenkins Ja Morant. He already has him. Let's give him a Hall of Fame sort of level point guard that maybe headed to Hall. How about De'Aaron Fox? Give him Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, and 2 other Hall of Fame, a Hall of Fame wing and a Hall of Fame power forward.
So who's better, Ja Morant or Rajon Rondo?
Obviously, Ja Morant is better than Rajon Rondo at this point in his career. But
who's better, Desmond Bane or Ray Allen?
Overall? Oh, you mean at this?
At that point of when Doc Rivers had him, who was better?
Oh no,
Ray Allen.
Ray Allen was better.
I don't think so.
Of course you don't.
You just because they put him in a limited role, you saying he still couldn't do those things?
Oh, he could do the role. He had a great career post number 1 guy. Like, I'm not saying that he's not good, but at this point, you would still take Desmond Bane.
How about KG?
No, you wouldn't.
Yes,
better
you
on
would.
Memphis, KG or
No, because the
Triple
Rays
J. It's not even a question. Can we stop this, please? What I'm saying is facts, Chris, and you can't combat it because
I just did.
No,
if Taylor Jenkins had
you really
17
need to be asking who was
more
better,
years.
Paul Pierce or Ja Morant, and you know the answer. And then it's KG. Like, why are you going all the way down there?
Wait a second. Exactly. You telling me that you gonna take Paul Pierce over Ja Morant?
100%. You must have not watched the games when he was going toe to toe with Bron James.
Now I saw the games, but you telling me that you would pick
100%. Give me
Paul
Prime Paul.
Pierce?
Give me Prime Paul.
Wow. You know what? I'm gonna put that out there as the poll of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Paul Pierce in
Pierce.
2006 played all 82 games while getting stabbed, so I don't know.
Hey,
Big
some
fact.
people like the gritty, right? It's the new wave.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Abel.
Still trying to find out who Monica was. Still saying. Up next, we're gonna go to Cash. Cash, what's up?
Yo, I saw that game. It was a hell of a game. It's a beautiful game. I gotta give a big shout out to the guy they said was Mr. Jose Alvarado, man. Big play at the end. He was big all night. Just food for thought. A little food for thought. Desmond Bane. When he's out, I think John Morant's record is 4-6. 4-6. 0-3 this year. 4-6. But when John Morant is out, the Memphis Grizzlies went 24-9 with Desmond Bane in the lineup. See, I think John Morant is more important. Desmond Bane is more important. Excuse me. Desmond Bane is more important. I think he's very underrated, and he's the engine that keeps that team going. I don't like Memphis without Desmond Bane. They're a whole different team. That's just my opinion or whatever. But hey, you see John Morant, nice little highlights and all that. It's cute. It's cute, and I like Ja too. So don't be thinking I be hating on him. But hell of a game. Yeah, I liked that game. I really did. Not much to say other than
Yeah.
good game.
The polls up top. So is the latest copy of the Hoop Spaces review, as well as the top 3 usage rates in the league. Who you drafting, John Morant or Paul Pierce? We'll go to Miles. What's up, Miles? How you doing?
What's going on, Chris?
I'm just living the dream, man. One day at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game probably from like the middle of the first quarter to the end. I mean, like Jay said, when I started watching the game, I was like, "Where the fuck is Steven Adams? Did he got fouled? Is he hurt? Why he not playing?" But come to find out, he was in foul trouble real early. But I mean, I ain't gonna sit here and bash Taylor Jenkins because he was coach of the year candidate last year. But I mean, he does have to do something with Dylan because it's getting. We done seen 6 years of this. We done seen 6 years of Dylan thinking he Kobe Bryant, putting up stupid shots. 6 years of him messing up the flow of the offense. 6 years of him taking shots from other players when they not out or when they not out there when they hurt. Don't get me wrong. I love Dylan Brooks' defense. I swear I do. I wouldn't give up his defense for nobody. He's one of the best defenders we got on the team outside of Jaren Jackson Jr. But somebody on that coaching staff has to tell him, Dylan, you are not a scorer. You need to go to the paint. You need to essentially. He's a more athletic, in my opinion. He's kind of what we would use like a Tony Allen type thing, but he can shoot a little bit better than Tony Allen can. Whenever Tony Allen was at Memphis, you never saw Tony Allen shooting threes. You never saw Tony Allen taking crazy jump shots because Tony knew he knew his damn role. Dylan don't apparently at this point of moment, 6 years on the team, Dylan don't know his role, and I think his defense overshadows that. That's why nobody says nothing to him. But us as fans, we've seen it these past 6 years. He has shot us out of games. He done shot us out of wins. We'll be up. He come down, shooting threes in transition. I'm like, bro, I don't understand why nobody has told him, Dylan, you can't be doing this. He can't be doing this, and he knows he can't be doing this. But every time somebody not playing, he takes the opportunity to do it because nobody's gonna tell him not to. Because everybody else is not pure shooters, or they're not jump shooters, as Jay said. But
Yeah,
I mean, my frustration with the game last night was, why isn't Drake LaRavia playing? In my opinion, David Roddy is not good. We need to swap Kenny Lofton Jr., bring him to the team, send David Roddy to the G League, and let him develop there because he looks lost out there, and it's irritating me watching him play all the time. I don't care if Roddy can shoot threes, he can't. He looks so lost on defense, and it's irritating. Even though Jake the Raven is not the best defender, I would take Jake's 3-point shooting and his scoring over Roddy, whatever the hell he out there doing any day. And LaRavia didn't even play last night. I don't even think he suited up. That's the irritating part. But I mean, to say that we're in trouble without Bane, I don't think so. It was just one game, and CJ McCollum is an all-time grids killer. He decides to have his best performances of the season every time he plays the Grizzlies. It's been going on since he was in Portland. I don't know what it is. He can have a bad shoot night the night before, but he can go for 30 against the Grizzlies the next night. It's been going on for the longest. But I don't think we in trouble. I don't think we're in trouble with Bane because I see the schedule. The only tough schedule, only tough teams we have for the next 2 to 3 weeks with Bane being out. I'm looking at it now. It's probably gonna be we got New Orleans again next Friday, and then Philly in December. So I mean, Bane will probably be back the second week of December, and that is the week of Atlanta, Milwaukee, OKC, Denver, Phoenix, and of course the Warriors on Christmas. I mean, I think we'll be fine. I mean, it ain't gonna be no 6-7 game winning streak, but I think we'll be perfectly fine without all that.
All right, definitely appreciate it, man. I worry that when you put the reevaluation tag after 2 to 3 weeks, like it works both ways. It can be something that can end earlier, right? And he comes back a couple games earlier, or it could be something that ends up lingering. I don't think it's just something he's also been dealing with too. So like it could be something where they're going to give him some extended time off, where it's like plantar fasciitis, where the only thing you can do to get better is rest. And if that's the case, that's when it kind of gets worrisome because it's something that might continue to flare up every now and again, where it's then now more load management. That's the fear, I think, is why we say that we might be worried. All right, we got a couple more people down below who might be wanting to come up here. The one person up on stage so far who has yet to speak, and Bakari's coming back up, is Killer Gaddafi, and Bakari's coming up. Killer Gaddafi, yeah. I could go so many ways, right? Like 153 of them, and all of them would be bars. Like Nas's Kingdom Disease 3. Brooklyn looked bad defensively. Killer Gaddafi, you good? You straight?
Hey, what's up, Chris? Yo, you ever seen the movie Menace to Society? You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's a classic.
You remember when Alani's cousin walked up in somebody else's hood and tried to start something, even though he was outnumbered? I haven't seen a beat down like that since then. Like, like I fell asleep and woke up and Ness Twitter was on fire. But during the halftime, Saint said something that was perfect. Saint said, and I quote, "We seen championship teams. We know what championship teams look like. We know what a championship organization looks like. We know what championship organization do. The Nets do that. Do you see any of that when you see the Brooklyn Nets? Like, and not even just this year, for the last 2 years. I said it in one of your spaces before, like maybe this is who they are. I don't think there's no maybe to it. I know some people are like, oh, it's only been less than 20 games, because I know how people are going to be. They're going to say, wait 20 games, wait 40 games, wait to the trade deadline, wait to the playoffs. Okay, wait to the play-in. Like, no, like, we know what this team is. We know where's the direction. Where's the direction? We don't know what's going on with Kyrie Irving. We don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons. I mean, it's so many question marks. There's nothing for certain with this team. And I'm not, and I know a lot of people have narratives where some people say, well, if this player was here, if this player wasn't here. No, it's from the owner to the general manager to the players to everyone. This team is a mess. It's been a mess. Like, I feel like we're worse of a mess we are worse of a mess than the Lakers. At least they won the championship. Shoot, at least the Clippers got to the conference finals. After it's all said and done, what can we say? What happened with this team? Oh, we won the same amount of playoff games that Brooke Lopez and Joe Johnson did during their tenure. Look, I'm at the point where I'm just watching. I'm just watching games and just waiting for something to happen, waiting for the next shoe to drop. That's it. I appreciate your spaces. I appreciate this. Sometimes I can't come in because I'm at work, but I'm always gonna retweet and like when I get a chance. So I appreciate you, Christian. I appreciate everyone in here.
I appreciate you, Killer Gaddafi. That's exactly what we asked. Like, to like full disclosure to all those people out there, like this, there's no money here. We do this out of love of basketball and the want to share our opinion and our thoughts. Because if you look at the grand scheme of how we consume our basketball content, I felt I wasn't getting what I wanted, and like I looked around, y'all. Like I mean, I really looked to try to find something that I could like sink my teeth into, for lack of a better term, as a fan. And I just couldn't. So here we are, a little bit over 2 years of working hard. We've built a small community, and we're trying to grow. So I do appreciate the sport, Killer Gaddafi. Up next, we'll go to Bakari. Bakari, you better not be sneaking this in class. If you are, there's nothing I can do about it anyway.
I think you keep forgetting that like I'm a college student now. It's been like a year, kind of growing up with you.
You could still be sneaking it in class though, no?
I mean, I have an 8:30 class. It's 10:57.
All right, just checking, man. I gotta make sure that the youth is doing what they're supposed to do.
Cooking, you're cooking. I like it. I wanted to add to what Miles was saying because I accidentally left the space, and then I was looking up some stats. Game 4 of the 2022 playoffs, the Grizzlies faced Golden State Warriors. In Game 4, guess what Dylan Brooks' stats were?
What was that the game he went off for like 34 points or something?
Yes, Chris, that's the game he shot us out of, bro.
He literally shot I think he shot like 19 shots and he made like 4 of them.
Ooh, yeah.
So
that's a classic Dylan Brooks game right there.
The thing is, what Dylan Brooks is, he takes a lot of possessions, and I think last season was 10.5% possessions of the ball. Like it was just him, and I've seen multiple times where he's just the one operating, and he's just in his own bag. He's just doing whatever he wants, and I'm not a big hater on Dylan Brooks. I just don't like seeing bad basketball. Like he thinks he has like some kind of like protections or something like that. I don't know. Like he can do whatever he wants. But if the Grizzlies really want to win a championship, they have to get rid of the guy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be honest. Like this guy, he's not gonna change anytime soon. It's been like 4 or 5 seasons. He's been the same exact player. He has not changed his game, his mindset, and his decision making. He's very similar to the early days of Marcus Smart. Smart in I remember, saying 2021, he was taking really bad shots as well. And the only reason why he was still on the team was because his defense was pretty good. Smart this season and the next season he changed. He took better shots. I mean, he still sometimes makes bad plays, but he's Marcus Smart, so I understand that. Sometimes he turns the ball over, but he's Marcus Smart. But he wasn't doing as bad as before. He made improvements. I don't see Dylan Brooks doing that. So if I don't know, man, like you gotta make a trade, Some team will let Dylan Brooks. Maybe the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe the Spurs. I don't know. Actually,
what's with the Dylan Brooks slander today?
It's not slander.
It's honest. I'm being honest.
Like, how is
he don't seem to be a problem. He don't seem to be a problem with John Morant's out and Desmond Bane's playing with him. Like,
what?
Now
he's the problem with John not playing either, guy. He's been the problem this whole time. Everybody sees it. He last year in Game 6, he shot us out of that basketball game.
Yo, John Morant is Allen Iverson reincarnated with a better dunk, dog. He's not going to help the team win necessarily. He's not going to help people get better. As a matter of fact,
Oh my
I
God,
saw something like
here
that.
you
As
go.
soon as
Here
the
you
game
go.
was
Here you go
over, he
pushing
went right on
Charles
Twitter
Barkley
and he got people in his head and he's responding to Charles Barkley talking about you don't make me wipe your knees and get the knee pad. Come on, bro.
Charles Barkley
Come
is
on, bro. He's
stupid.
not
That's why.
focused.
All right,
He's
real
called.
quick. Who are you drafting? John Morant, Paul Pierce, the polls up there. And then now, one has to go. I'm going to watch one of these this weekend now, but one has to go. Minister Society, Dead Presidents, Boys to the Hood of Juice.
Boys
One
is
has to
amazing.
go.
I
All
love
right.
it.
If you wanted to come
That's
on
a
up,
trick question.
make sure you like and retweet the show card up front. I got to keep it moving, though. We're going to move next to Jay the Wakandan. We got Jose to come up here to break down the Mavs and Clippers and tell us who he thinks would draft, either John Morant or Paul Pierce. Jay the Wakandan, you're up.
Yo, Chris, did you know that the Grizzlies were in the bonus with 7 minutes to go in the first quarter?
I did. That's how John Morant was able to sustain, because he was going to end up being taken out by Taylor Jenkins. And the slowdown of the game of getting to the line kept him in for a couple extra minutes and extended his personal run, which set him up for like 24 points at half.
Correct. And do you know how many minutes Valanciunas played in the second half?
In the second half, no, but it wasn't that many because he only played like 15 in the game.
Correct. So my question for Taylor Jenkins and the crew was, why does this team? Because here's the sneaky thing about when you watch last year's Grizzlies when Ja was out. Last year's Grizzlies did not try to match 3 for 3. They didn't have the personnel to do it. They even with the amount of games that Ja missed, they still led the league in paint points. Getting in the paint was a ethos of those Grizzlies. This year's Grizzlies, I think the stain of losing to Golden State, I think they learned the wrong lesson from that series, because what I've noticed, the trend that disturbs me the most about this team is they try to match 3 for 3. And there's this thing of they don't close out well. All the guards have a bad habit of only following their man for half of V cut. They don't follow him actually out to the other wing. And so when teams don't shoot the first available shot and they actually swing, that's how teams are getting that open 3 against the Grizzlies. And then the Grizzlies try to match that 3 on the other end. But none of them are off the bounce shooting 3-point guys except for Bane. And that's the issue. That's why you see the discrepancy of, Ja being 0-3 without Bane, but Bane, and the crew going on that fantastic run without Ja last year. It's not that Ja's not good or Ja's not making his teammates better. It's shot diet. And the shot diet is noticeably different from this year's Grizzlies and last year's Grizzlies.
I can see that. I also think that they were already short of play anyway, and that they never replaced Kyle Anderson.
Williams not playing either, Chris. He's still hurt.
Yeah, I think that was the goal to replace Kyle Anderson. But even if he hadn't been hurt and was playing, I still don't think he replaces Kyle Anderson. There's just something. There's something that some players just have that is not quantifiable by conventional statistics. Slow-mo is one of them cats, and whatever mojo he has is being missed in Memphis, in my opinion. Jose, we're gonna get to you now. Jose, host of 77 Spaces with our man Speak on a Rolo. Shout out to Rolo down below. Jazz, the Scissor Sister. There's some other dope people in the building that you should follow, such as Sean with the W, host of Live from the Mecca with Cedric Shine and Jeff J Says. In fact, you can hear them go at it back and forth. 2:05 p.m. today. Josh Rodriguez in the building, host of The Dime with Josh Rodriguez, a dope podcast on Ballers Life Network. I was on there just about 10 days ago. And you know what? When you look at the Brooklyn Nets putting up 120 plus and still losing because they put up a 153, go back and check out that episode. I told you exactly what they were. Tell me if I was wrong. Because they look like a dry-ass piece of biscotti if I ever did see one. All right, Jose, appreciate you, my guy. 77 Spaces is the best Mavs content here on Twitter. Hop in. These dudes are locked into the big names covering the Mavericks. So when you hear them speak, it's because they're talking to the likes of Kirk Henderson and others who cover the Mavs for various publications. Jose, the floor is yours. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I really enjoyed the Mavericks win last night just based off the fact that Dorian Finney-Smith had 21 points, was very efficient from three last night, and played some really good defense on Paul George. Paul George has set a record for 10 turnovers last night. But you probably won't hear about that because you'll probably just hear about, oh, Kawhi wasn't playing. The Clippers are a superior team. Luka Doncic carried. Partially correct, but Dorian Finney-Smith had a big night and he deserves his flowers. Because you hear like Herb Jones get love from Pelican fans. You hear Jose Alvarado get love from Pelican fans. I mean, when it comes to the Mavericks, of course you hear about Luca, Spencer, but Dorian Finney-Smith is just absolutely really well for this team. I will say, blowing a 25-point lead going into the third quarter is not efficient and it's not sustainable basketball. But the one thing Mavericks have done so far this season is that they've been able to win in the clutch. They're 7-4 in clutch games. They played the most clutch games in the entire NBA. Not beautiful, but hey, if your team could pull it out at the end, that's all you want from your team. I would also like to say that, you know, last night the defense really played well in the fourth when it really mattered the most. Yeah, they blew a lead, but man, our defense just came in handy. I will also give credit to Jalen Brunson. Last night I had the TV playing the Knicks and Jazz game in the background, turned all the way down, so I was kind of loosely paying attention. But I paid attention to the last 3 minutes of that game, and Jalen Brunson provided the Mavericks some type of leeway and leadership in terms of coming down in clutch time, and that's what the Mavericks are missing. Yeah, they're 7-4 in the clutch, but if you have that player in the locker room that is good at leadership and that could run a team by himself, I mean that's probably the most important thing the Mavericks are missing. Jalen Brunson as a whole, I'm not entirely too sure. Maybe we are missing him. But Dinwiddie also deserves credit because Dinwiddie is producing Jalen Brunson's damn near stat line from last year. And Christian Wood is also providing 15 points off the bench. And he had a great game last night, but some defensive miscues and got benched and only played 24 minutes. I hope that's not the case tonight because I really think that Luka is sitting tonight and resting. So I expect Christian Wood to get at least 36 minutes tonight. But that's all I had to say. If you want to join into 77 Spaces, we'll be hosting the pregame show an hour before tip off. And if you got any X factors and predictions, just come up into 77 Spaces, just like Chris. You got a chat box below. If you don't want to speak yourself, you utilize the chat box, and we'll be checking in. But I appreciate you, Chris.
Appreciate you, Jose. And I got close, man. I was 2 points off with the wrong teams, but man, that was a good call. I was about to go to a looks like he got a phone call. Pop back to Akil when he pops in. Up next, though, I'm going to introduce to you somebody who you might want to shoot a follow because he's got some dope content coming up. Comedian du jour, host or co-host, I should say, of the Canadian Baking Show. You should actually check him out on his timeline now because he's got a couple of hilarious videos dealing with Toronto Raptors fans. My friend, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Shane Lewis. What's up, Alan? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, Chris. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say that when I first saw that John Paul Pierce question, it gave me all sorts of emotions because on surface level, I got to give it to Paul just because of the career and what he's been doing. But honestly, that chip kind of really changed how we reflect on everything he's done. And Ja is so early in his career. So the question is, like, do we think Ja is going to dominate for as long as he can? Like, he's going to hold him out and he can keep playing at that intensity? Like, the way he jumps like, I don't know, like a newborn giraffe sometimes. Like, I always fear when he falls that something bad's going to happen. So it's a matter of, can he potentially keep that intensity up, or can he maybe even adapt his game and change it once he loses that first bounce and a step. The second thing that I wanted to say, watching the Brooklyn lose as a Raptor fan, as an Atlantic division rival, ooh, that was bad. That was bad. I feel like this season is different. I feel like the torch has been passed. These young Bucks, all these young teams, do not feel all the Titans that we thought were going to be Titans coming into the season. No one's afraid of them, and all these teams are like circling these matches because this is their time to debut and show off. Hey, why did you give us 7 games and the Lakers 41 games on national television? Like, I feel like the rest of the Lakers nationally televised games should be aired on radio. Like that's ridiculous. They should get them off there. Because like teams like the Nets, Lakers, and Warriors are underperforming. And when I say underperforming, I'm nice. Defensively, they don't have it. You can't just have KD click into Hall of Fame, my career mode, and take over on both ends. You can't do that because teams are being very aggressive with their defense. The way they play defense is offensively. They throw 3 or 4 players at them and are like, daring, all these different players to shoot the ball. And I have to give it to the Kings because you know what? Like the beam, I'm ready for it. I'm excited for them now. I like this. They were my sneaky league pass team last year. They weren't. Is it sustainable? I don't think so. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. That's not the point. The point is, it's fun, good basketball with no agenda other than the ball and the hoop in 24 seconds.
I love it. There's a lot of people picking dead presidents, and I am shocked that out of all those 4 movies I gave you, y'all are picking dead presidents. Like I have to stop talking basketball. By the way, Allen was cooking, and I have to stop because people are like, "Dog, dead presidents suck," and I'm sitting here like, "What?"
It was mid.
Get out of here with that. Mid. French fries are mid. All right, Allen. The Toronto Raptors, right? I want to go ahead and talk about this because you went over there into the 905, right? You went up into the north, into Jurassic Park, and you asked the question. This is earlier in the month. Why do they hate the NBA? Right? Tell us why. I'm gonna put the post up here so they can see it. It's hilarious. Go ahead.
So I came to the conclusion that love doesn't bind us as well as hate does. So I went around just asking Raptor fans who do they hate in the NBA and why. And it was shocking the amount of players. It was a lot of Joel Embiid. I think what he did to us in the last playoffs series, it wasn't great. And I gotta say, it hurt. It definitely hurt. There is chanting "fuck Embiid," all that shit, which I don't agree with, but I had to take part of because I got to get him off his game somehow. But it was a lot of LeBron too as well. I don't think Raptors fans have accepted LeBronto years as a LeBron fan. Those years were great because I didn't lose. No matter what, I felt like I had 2 parents fighting over custody, and no matter what, I got 2 Christmases. So I was fine with that. So I don't have any hate towards that. There was one gentleman who nailed out all the real fandom hate in the video. He came out there and he was like talking about LeBron years. He talked about the Boston Celtics. And I think when I walked away, he came back and he's Goran Dragic. I don't think anyone knows here, but for some reason, Raptors fans do not like Goran Dragic. The time that he had here, since he came here, he said weird stuff where he's like, I have higher aspirations. And Raptors fans, I don't know if you've met them on this app. They take everything personally. Ari, I see you getting mad. I understand what my boy Kawhi did to you. That I understand. I would feel ways too if he made my star cry. But we hold grudges out here, and it was just nice to see Raptors fans kind of unite on that because one thing I think it's the same thing happened to the Warriors. They're pricing out their fans out here in Toronto, and it's only the rich, like tech bro loser guys who come out here who don't chant defense, taking up the entire arena. And we used to be loud as fuck back in the early in the '90s and the early 2000s. Like we used to be a place where you had these things called Sprite Zone tickets, where you pay like $10 and you get a ticket to go into the game. And now all the people in Jurassic Park are the real fans, and they can't get inside the game. So it's hard to watch, but man, still love my Raps.
All right, so you got a couple of things cooking, right? You still got the work on TV, but you're getting ready to open up a space that's going to combine some comedy and a couple of other of your favorite things in life. Why don't you tell us what we get to look forward to?
Yeah. So I've been covering the NBA for like 9 years from like different things. I've been on NBA TV a couple of times for different segments here in Canada. But one thing I've started is it's called the Extremely Mid Range Show. It's a basketball comedy show. Every 2 weeks, there's going to be sketches, interviews live. We have a show actually tonight at 5:30 p.m. You want to watch that? Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Those are the three options that you can come watch it. So if you just follow me, I post a video out there. Got different segments. Like right now, one of the segments that we have today is NBA Quiplash. So I got a bunch of people from NBA Twitter to come on live. We played some Quiplash of just NBA prompts, and we just had a good time. So I have some people from like SB Nation out there and SDPN. So come check that out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, look, that's exactly what we're trying to build here. And if you want to see somebody, if you're a content creator, succeed on the highest levels and still have fun, 5:30 is real easy. Just shoot them a follow. It'll pop up on it's the Twitter Live, right?
Yeah.
So pop him a follow and you'll be able to see it. If not, head over to Twitch. You can download the Twitch app and like. I'm not gonna lie, Amazon working on AMP and Twitch as a hybrid could be an interesting future. But if you also are into comedy, you've got to check Alan out. I got into comedy to heal past trauma. So Alan, I have to ask you, how did you get into comedy? Because like for me, I did like stand up or improv after my first deployment because it was suggested to me as therapy. And like I've been hooked on it ever since. I don't do it as much as I used to because as a single father, the life is just not it. How did you get into comedy? What was your inspiration? Give me your top three comics.
I'm mostly because I've been like kind of a class clown my whole life, youngest of two sisters. So for me to get attention, I had to like work for it. So kind of the way my brain kind of went with that. But the way I got into comedy was originally just honestly posting on Black Twitter like years ago. I would tweet out here. I just tweet. It was back in the Adder Dap era. I don't know if I'm aging myself, but it was the age of either you slander somebody or at them directly. So that was kind of the thing. And I got brought on to like punch up a script, and I met some people who did like short films, who did sketches, and people who did stand up. And I fell in love with it ever since. I've been doing it for the past 10 years or so. Just now making money from it. That's how long it takes.
Yeah, I know it's hard, but you're doing good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's really good because you get to like write your own piece, and it's out of all the other medium forms of art, it's one where you get an instant response, and you instantly understand how well you're doing in the moment. It's very cathartic to kind of speak your mind and have it resonate with strangers. Like I have people like I'll go small towns to big cities, like just people you never think have that kind of thought or type of thing to be like, you know what, that made me think of this, and I really appreciate it. And sometimes they're like, yo, let me buy you a drink. And if they're like, hey, I'll take you to a next bar, don't do it. That's a trap. That's how you get put into a white small town in a weird bar where everyone in the band just starts staring at you. So don't do it. It's going to sound like good times with 3 free drinks. It's very scarily out of the place.
So that happened to me. I was stationed in San Antonio, and I got booked at a place in Pflugerville, Texas. Yo, the flashback I just had, man, I'm crying. My bad, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm tearing up. I have to hit this button real quick to do a read, Alan. Welcome everybody. We're 20 minutes into the second hour. Having a good Wednesday. I'm watching snow fall down as it proceeds to ruin my fall as we go into winter. And that's prime hoodie season, y'all. And if you don't have one of these thick hoodies, you are way behind the eight ball. You can head over to slamgoods.com right now. You can pick up the Slam to the World hoodie. It's one of these thick cotton hoodies. So it traps in all the air, keeps you warm. It's on sale right now. Use promo code HoopSpaces, save 15%. That'll save you about $6.75, which is way more than what you need to get a proper cup of coffee. And shout out to Starbucks who ruined my order this morning. I don't think it's a complicated order when you ask for black coffee and somehow you get coffee with cream in it. It's amazing how in 2022 you have to pay $4 for a cup of coffee and you can't get a black cup of coffee. Slamgoods.com, promo code HoopSpaces, save 15%. And again, please check out the Rewind series. I know a lot of you did not read Slam magazine like I did growing up, and they have just phenomenal in-depth stories, not just about the cover, right? Like they have the Allen Iverson one.
Yo, what happened to Chris?
Yeah, I got a phone call.
Oh, I bet the beat was rocking though.
That's good. It's good to know. Slamgoods.com. They weren't the ones who called me. It was actually my son's school. Apparently, he left his homework. All right, here on a Wednesday, it's snowing. We're talking basketball. We've got JFK. We have JAW next. Alan Shane is here with us. That is Alan Shane Lewis, and he's got Parody up there, which is dope. Check him out. He's got the Canadian Baking Show coming up. He also has the Extremely Mid-Range Show every other Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. today. We'll go next to JFK. JFK, your Miami Heat were off yesterday, right? Tyler Hero didn't travel with the team, and it's getting to be kind of a mess in Miami without knowing that Victor Oladipo is returning soon, even though he traveled. You must have availed yourself, though, last night of some type of basketball, and I know for a fact that at times you do want to take a shot at somebody as a player. Most recently, Draymond Green. I'm wondering if you found a new player to go after. And if not, we got to work on that because Benjamin Simmons played last night and he looked okay. 20 minutes, 11 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. What you got?
Yeah, Chris, Udonis Haslem also looked okay on the bench. That's what the type of players they need to be on the bench. First things first, Chris. Damn, shouts out to the Indiana school system because I ain't never got no phone calls if I had left my homework. I got an oh well and a 0. Shouts out to Miami-Dade school system. You suck. But yeah, moving forward, Chris, they did not play last night, but I understand we have injuries, and I've been, quarreling about it for the last couple games that we only been running 8 men, and I'm just like, damn, what are we doing? But, Omer Yurtseven seems like he might be returning to a later date, hoping around All-Star. Also, Victor Oladipo, he did travel with the team. I think Tyler Hero is taking I don't know what it is, but I think he might have a little injury, which they're trying to deal with that. And what happens with the Heat, if you have an injury, they're going to sit you. They definitely going to sit you, and they're going to try to make it work for whatever they have. Like, they don't even play with that because they know even if they have any chance of making the playoffs, health has been the most important thing that's hindered us in the last couple of rounds, going back to the bubble when we missed Goron in the finals. I mean, so we're trying to save our guys, but you started off with Draymond. I was okay, but then he went to Ben Simmons, and then I wasn't okay, Chris. I'm like, why are we still mentioning this guy wearing a basketball jersey and playing basketball? I mean, listen, Australia needs some beach volleyball players, and I'm pretty sure he can do well over there, Chris. I don't really understand why we still are questioning with our good brothers from Philadelphia, Homer Brotherly Love, have told us that, we tried working with him. I saw them work with him during his free throws. You know what I'm saying? They stood up and had a standing ovation for him when he went 2 for 2 from the free throw. The most aggressive I seen him was the playoff series against the Heat when we had Josh Richardson and Justice Winslow, and he really popped off for the 25 and 15. And since then, I haven't seen Ben Simmons. And to be honest, Chris, I would have this conversation with you with Ben Simmons if he smiled on the basketball court. And to be honest with you, Chris, when people don't smile, it says a lot more than what's actually happening. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's something deeper. He might not like basketball, and that's perfectly fine. He might just like the benefits from basketball. Perfectly fine. I would love the benefits from basketball too, Chris. You know what I'm saying? But I'm 5'10". I will never make it. And I ain't got that great of a jump shot. But shit, I could give you more effort on the basketball court than Ben Simmons, to be honest with you, Chris. And I'm pretty sure I'll play some damn defense. And the Nets talked about how they got this defensive juggernaut, but yet they gave up 100 and how much, Chris? 53 points last night to your Kings. So shouts out to you, Chris, for putting this team together with DeAndre Hunter and Keegan Murray and all these boys that can shoot these threes. Because guess what? You are proving exactly what we've been saying the whole time about Ben Simmons. He is never going to be it. Sorry, Chris. You can actually talk about Draymond now.
Hey, JF, you should call him. We call him Bimmins now. Bimmins.
Yeah,
The
Bimmins
B
are
stands for bum.
Bimminins because he ain't got a J.
I don't even want to give him a name. I just want to call him that player with a jersey.
Just call him Bimmins. Bimmins.
I am still shocked. Like, more people are putting in here that they would pick Dead Presidents as the movie they would cut out. I don't get it. It's based off of like real stuff here. That happened. Like that actually happened.
Chris, can I give you my take on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would definitely cut out Boys in the Hood, and I love John Singleton. But to be honest with you, all the other three movies were probably more factual than the other three. And I'm not saying anything about it, but think about the military aspect. What happens from people in the military when they come home? Dead Presidents, wonderful movie. I loved it. Menace to Society. What happens when you're in an unpoverty neighborhood? Love that movie. I think it was Cuba Gooding Jr. that killed it for me, man. I didn't like it.
True story. Tupac was fired from that. Would have been better. Got Cash up here. He wanted to respond to some Mavs and Clippers talk. We'll let him go. Then we're going to get JAW. Logan the Foot will be joining us. And if you're down below and you want to join us, go ahead, raise the hand. We just ask that you like and retweet the show tweet. Hop up here and chop up shop with Alan Shane Lewis. Get ready for the Extremely Mid-Range show at 5:30. You can catch here on Twitter and on Twitch. And where else, Alan?
It's also on YouTube as well. So,
Gotta keep the voice going, man. Gotta keep the voice going.
Julius Lewis on Twitch and Alan Shane Lewis on YouTube.
Love it. All right. Y'all are still wrong about picking Dead Presidents as the one that's got to go. I'm really disappointed as a society. Cash.
That's a shot to veterans, Chris.
It is. It's horrible. Cash, you're up. Mavs Clippers, go.
What a game that was. Like, it was a tale of two halves, right? The Clippers had 32 points. Or was it 35? I forgot. At the end of the first half, after
32.
32, yeah, it was right. God. So I'm watching that, and I'm a Luka. I like Luka. And I think, last year, 3 games away from the finals. I had him going to the finals, right? Luka Doncic to the finals like the 07 Cavs. How could you forget, right? But it's only 3 games away, and I'm like, hopefully you can build on that. But then it's like, it was so weird to watch them come back. It was good to see John Wall, right? And Paul George, he did step it up at some point, I would say, toward in the third quarter or whatever. But the turnovers coming out the timeout, specifically in the fourth quarter, kind of shot himself in the foot. But it's crazy how Robert Covington didn't grab that rebound and put it back up. Like, if you saw it, it really went down to the wire. They escaped by the skin of their teeth. I am not sold on the Mavs. I got to take a step back. I don't know, man. I mean, look, what's his name? Dude had a hell of a shooting night. What's his name? I forget.
Dorian
Finney.
Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith, DFS.
And Bullock hit a couple. And then Dinwiddie, like, I watched like the second half. It looked like they trapped Luka and me. They let Dinwiddie get some and ones and doing it. It looked like a good team, but I didn't really see the aggression from Luka. I really didn't see that in the second half while everything was dwindling down. I like what I saw from Paul George. I think he play the whole second half? Did he play the whole?
He played the whole second half.
A sense of urgency, right? And I didn't really see that from Luka. I mean, I know they were trapping him, and it wasn't like he can go back to the ball and this, and they made a couple shots here and there, but Oh man, that told me a lot that I needed to know about the Dallas Mavericks right there. Now I'm not talking about in a good way, and it gave me a lot of inspiration for the Clippers and how they can fight and how they determine well coached and they're not giving up. So yeah, man, I couldn't let my man Jose slide like it was just you know what I mean. You might have was supposed to lose that game, maybe. Not sure yet. But yeah, good game.
All right, look. Had Ty Lue, who owned up to it in post game, taken him out at the 2 minute mark to go, closing the third into the fourth, he would have given PG about 6 minutes worth of rest. And like that 6 minutes worth of rest might have just been enough to take this win. But I think what we're also seeing is something that we don't actually mention a lot is the Clippers just give the Mavericks sit because styles make fights, and the Clippers roster is the antithesis of the Mavericks roster, right? Like they are having to buy into this PG heliocentric offense. But if you look at how the Clippers succeeded last year, it was because they built a team approach with both of their stars being in and out the lineup, with Kawhi being out for the remainder of the year and PG coming back late. And when PG came back, they didn't make him PG. They said, we need you to fit into the role of the team. And then as we get towards the playoffs, we'll start featuring you more. And instead of doing that, they're trying to feature him now to the detriment of the team. And that just alludes to another reason why Doc Rivers is a great coach.
Yo, and a big shout out to Nicholas Batum last night. Big shout out to Batum.
Yeah, 7 for 7 from deep for 21, added a free throw. Shout out to Reggie Bullock. He'd been getting heat from all of Mavs Twitter, it seems. He went 4 for 4 from three in the fourth quarter, perhaps getting out of his shooting slump. All right, next game up, we got Jazz and Knicks in a game where all the Knicks fan base was expecting trepidation, failure, and firing, pretty much like in that order. They actually won 118-111 after having a team meeting / dinner, which of course the media ran with an emergency team meeting style approach of breaking news proportion until they realized that, it was players only, it was a meeting, but it was also a dinner. So there you go. Take what you want from it. Like the New York Knicks know how to like punch the fan base and then like give them candy. It was a solid win. It was a great second quarter, and they didn't collapse too terribly in the third. Like they only put up 22, but they did a lot better than the game before, and that's really all you have to ask. But it was the fourth quarter that closed it out, and Jalen Brunson has been doing this to the Jazz now for the last couple of years. Last year specifically in the playoffs for the Dallas Mavericks. So I think they actually bode well in a good matchup against the Jazz, and they're also able to limit their perimeter offense efficiency. New York actually had several times where they did perfect switching on defense, and I think that was part of the meeting. Was that they collectively as a team needed to do better on the effort end of the defense. RJ Barrett, you know what? Like, the shot's broken. Like, he's not an efficient shooter as it is, but there's a couple of times where he's starting to try to lean and carry momentum into his shot, and it doesn't look like he's square and upright, and so it just doesn't look like it's working. He might need to go ahead and take it back down a notch and work on an 18-footer pull up and then trying to get a wing and corner three. I think he's rushing it. I think he's forcing it, and it looks kind of disjointed. Cam Reddish this is the Cam Reddish that is going to be here long term. New York might have got a steal, 7 for 13, 19 points, 2 for 5 from deep. Great defense. Obi topping off the bench had 9, had led the team in plus minus for 23. But Derrick Rose, I saw a couple of times with him in the game. He had that one corner to corner pass from 3-point to 3-point that sailed out of bounds. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I like Derrick Rose. I wish he never got hurt. Hell of a career, but he does not need to be on the Knicks. Like it just at this point, they're giving him IQ the minutes. Like they might just want to look at maybe trying to get him off to get him to a team that he could possibly get 18, 20 minutes and get somebody in return. Because the one thing that we know is the Knicks are one person short. And that's just the honest truth. And as long as that they're going to be one person short, I don't see room for market improvement. That's just me. Who here wants to hop up here? Knicks with a good win, but I don't think it convinces anybody of anything. I see Josh down there. He probably isn't able to get up here to get a Knicks point of view. Jazz, they're starting to regress to the mean a little bit. Their shooting has gone down. They're still taking 40 plus 3 pointers per game, but instead of shooting it at about a 42% clip, they're down around 33 to 34. And that right there is the Danny Ainge savior. He is smiling ear to ear because he knows that shooting opening up wasn't going to be sustainable. And if they're going to continue to shoot like this, the Jazz are going to continue to have games where they lose. And you know what? That makes him happy. He'll be able to go and say, I've got the pieces. Everybody send me first round picks. And then the full rebuild for the Jazz will begin in earnest. Up on stage now, who's able to share a few moments of his time, Josh Rodriguez, host of The Dime with Josh Rodriguez. The Dime NBA is where you can follow him here on Twitter. Ball is Life Network and a winning producer. Josh, good morning. How you doing?
Yo, what's up? It's been a really long time since I've actually spoken on Who Spaces. It's good to be back.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to have you. Your Knicks, they win, but doesn't look convincing to me. Your thoughts?
The Knicks are just extremely mediocre. I mean, they're the most average team in the league, really. So, I mean, none of their wins are going to be impressive, if I'm being honest with you. They still have no idea who the hell they are. It's from game to game. One game, they want to run the basketball. Next game, they want to slow things down. They're just a mess. So, for me, I mean, I don't really take things to heart when they win or when they lose, because the next day things can change. They play Denver tonight on a back-to-back, and Jokic isn't playing. It wouldn't surprise me if they lost this game. So until they can run together a few wins in a row here, I really don't think I'll be celebrating or, be tooting my horn here.
Do you buy Cam Reddish's I can't even say resurgence, but arriving to be the savior of the Knicks?
Yeah, I like Cam Reddish, and I don't know how many Knicks fans you follow, but Knicks Twitter needs to chill with Cam Reddish. I've seen tweets that like, oh, he's just. I'm not kidding you. I've seen tweets that say that he's the next star that Knicks should build around, more potential than RJ. And for me, it's like this dude had 2 straight good games, and I understand that is promising. I understand that he has potential, and it's fun to watch. But his previous 4 games before that, he was horrible from the field. The defense is there and consistent, which I like. But I like Cam. I think he should get minutes. But as far as like building around him and things of that nature, he has to do it for a whole season before I even jump to that conclusion.
So I was on the Dime, and you said it about the Utah Jazz that they remind you a lot like Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
If he was a team, and lo and behold, they turned into Jeremy Lin. The New York Knicks figured out, oh my God, they're going to shoot threes, and then they rotated on D to stop them from shooting threes and making them at an extraordinary clip. Your thoughts on the Jazz?
No, the Jazz, man, they're a fun team. They got a bunch of players who've always been rotational pieces, so they know how to play the game. You can't sleep on them. And I think a lot of people slept on them to start the season, and they punched a few teams in the mouth. But I think after a while, I think teams are going to get used to them, and they'll be an average team. I think, they might fight for a play-in, but they're not a good basketball team. They're cool. They play well together, but they're not a good basketball team by any means.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I want to make sure that we get Sean with a W in here as well, host of Live from the Mecca here on Hoop Spaces with Cedric Shine, and also Jeff J. Says. Sean, congratulations on the win. I told Josh I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you believe in it? Is there anything of value to take from it? Your thoughts?
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Yesterday on the KFS pregame show, I was like, if the Knicks win this game, how do we feel? You
sound like you're talking through a wave distorter.
I'm using my headphones that I always use. Is this better?
Nah, man, you sound kind of like robotic.
Hold on. I'll figure something. Give me a minute. I'll figure something out.
All right, we'll go down to Anthony, and we're going to go ahead and congratulate Anthony on a wonderful night off from work watching college basketball. Specifically, we want to shout out the Duke Blue Devils for doing us the favor of losing to the Kansas Jayhawks. Anthony, good morning. I hope you are well. Your Knicks won. More importantly, you got to watch a boatload of college basketball, including the Duke Blue Devils losing to the Kansas Jayhawks. Your thoughts?
You know what? I expected in this one. There wasn't nothing. But Duke has another great hitter on the horizon called Kyle Flipkowski. Okay? You don't know the guy's name, God damn it, you will know him. 17-13. The game was pretty bad in the first half, a lot of bad refereeing. But, it is what it is, a good early season game. They didn't fold. Grady Dick from Kansas, like this boy is good. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, I should have seen this boy last night. But sorry the season lost. They need it. A bunch of freshmen on the team. They'd be all right, y'all. They'd be all right. But guess what? Carolina almost lost to Garner Webb last night. Oh, man.
Let's talk about it.
Oh. Man, where's TJ at? Is he in here? I don't see him. So, yeah.
That was a bad win, man.
Bad win. But hey, shout out to Michigan State though. That was a good game. A very good game last night. So hey man, college ball is back. Y'all gotta keep your eyes on it. You know what I'm saying? I like it better than watching the Nets though, you know what I'm saying? 153 points, way better than watching that shit. But yeah, great games last night, man. Great games.
All right, Sean's back with us, probably with better audio now. Sean, go ahead.
Am I clear?
Oh yeah, much better.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, last night on the KFS pregame show, I'd said, if the Knicks win this game, how do we feel? Because we all thought that we would go like 1-4, 0-5 on the strip, and that would be the end of Tom Thibodeau, which a lot of us want, including me, because I believe he's a basketball war criminal. Listen, maybe the players only meeting where accountability was preached, that was called by the most unaccountable player on the roster, actually made a difference. So like you said, what's funny, Chris, you said it, they figured out this team shoots a bunch of threes, and they rotated, and they actually got out, and they switched, and they did what they had to do. Where was this on Sunday when Oklahoma City ran them off the floor and allowed them to score, and scored 145 points on the road? And they allowed Oklahoma City to come into their building and score 145 points, which has only happened 29 times in the history of the NBA. Only 29 times has a team on the road scored 145 points in regulation. Awful. So, look, man, I said the biggest problem this team has is Julius Randle. It's not the head coach. It's not the roster. It's not the front office. It's Julius Randle.
How the hell do we always keep playing Julius?
He is the biggest. He is the biggest problem. He's not the only problem, but he's the biggest problem. And I say that because if by simply removing him, everything else improves.
But what if we move him? We still ask. What happens?
But then you know what? But then I know what we are. And I don't know but I don't know what I have, because I have this dude with a 29 usage who is the least efficient player in the league. I can then see what I have with the 8th pick of the 2020 draft, because now he can play more than 17 minutes a game. I can now see.
Don't tell them the playbook, man. 2:05 p.m.
We could have had Tyrese Halliburton.
Hold on.
You about to cook.
Tyrese Halliburton is not even the best Tyrese in his own draft. I don't want to hear about Tyrese Halliburton anymore. Please.
Hold up now. Hold up now.
I don't know about that.
I do know. I know about that.
Yeah.
I do know.
I don't know about that.
I know.
All right, real quick, Sean. One has to go. All right, one has to go. Dead Presidents, Minister Society, Juice, or that's it, right? Yeah. There you go.
As far as the movie?
Yeah.
You know what?
Tough.
I'm gonna make a confession. One of those movies I haven't seen. And I'm not gonna tell you which one it is, so you don't make fun of me.
Oh,
He ain't black.
wow.
He not black. Your black card be revoked today, sir.
Come get my black card, motherfucker.
Fuck that. Black card is revoked.
Shocker. Josh, hop in here. I'm shocked, man. Now I gotta know.
I have no take on the movie situation, but I just want to add to Sean's point. I don't think removing Julius Randle does anything for this team. I'm being completely honest with you. This team has no identity whatsoever, and I don't think it has anything with Julius Randle. I just think it has to do with the roster and the coach, and it's just a bad mix of roster and coach. I don't think Thibs is a bad coach by any means. I just think he's the right coach for this roster. They don't know what the hell they want to do on offense. There's no identity whatsoever. Like, you look at the good teams, and they each have an identity. Like, you know exactly what the Warriors are, what they do on offense. You know what the Blazers do on offense now. You know what the Mavs do. Like, you know they have an identity. The Knicks they just look like they're playing random pickup basketball. And until there's some type of offensive set or some type of game plan on the offensive end and a commitment to defense, they're not going to have any identity, and they're just going to be 500. I don't think you can move Julius Randle or start Obi and it fixes that problem. I think that's the biggest misconception that Knicks fans have.
Pull up at 205 so I can yell at you and tell you why you're wrong.
So we go after Ime. So when are we going after Ime and Doku?
You aren't.
Wow.
There you go. You aren't. It's just not gonna happen. I don't know why people are doing this. Don't fall down that rabbit hole. All right. I'm gonna get a quick reset. I'm gonna hit that button, play some. Oh, actually, no. I'm gonna hit this button, and play that music. I want to give a shout out to Jordan Poole as a carryover from yesterday. I was trying to tell everybody before the season started that Jordan Poole is a starter. Like they told him, we need you to prepare to start, and so he worked on it. And if you look up there now, I added the tweet, thanks to Basketball Forever, at B-Ball Forever, or at B Basketball, or something like that forever. As a starter, 29 points, 5 assists, 48 from the floor, 39 from 3. Off the bench, 14 and 4, 43 and 32. I told you so. All right, I want to thank everybody up on stage. If you want to get up on stage, go ahead and raise your hand. There's some people you should follow up here on stage. You should be following Josh Rodriguez of the Diamond DA, Sean of Live from the Mecca in the Knicks Film School, Alan, Shane Lewis of the Canadian Baking Show, as well as the new show, ladies and gentlemen, the Extremely Mid-Range Show, every other Wednesday, live on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, 5:30 p.m., loads of basketball content, and he also is adding some comedy. We got our man Anthony, who wanted to come up here and talk some college. We went over a couple of the games from last night of who won. But I'm going to say this. Houston is for real, y'all. And if you watch any one team that is not in your market, it better be the University of Houston.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Rockets.
No. I just
I'm just joking.
Man, that hurts my feelings. The Houston Cougars, I was gonna say because it wouldn't happen. The Rockets would win, but that's what's gonna happen. The Cougars got a chance legitimately to lose maybe one game this year. Just imagine if the Rockets end up 7-52. The chat is gonna start happening, and it's gonna get ugly fast. Right? That's how good this Houston Cougars team is. So if you get one team that you want to follow out of market, University of Houston. Go ahead, Anthony. What you got?
Yeah, I just want to say this Sunday, South Carolina versus Stanford, 1-2 this Sunday. I think at 7:30, if I'm not mistaken. Women's college basketball Sunday at 7:30. Please tune in. It is gonna be good.
It is, and I'm gonna say this. There's going to be a new women's college basketball power, and that goes by the University of Southern California.
Oh yeah, Juju's her. She's her.
Juju is her, and USC be recruiting, and they gonna be recruiting their ass off.
She's her. You haven't seen Juju play? Please go watch her play.
Yep. All right, there you go. So look, we're trying to give you the basketball content that you like. What we ask is just some engagement in return. If you look up top, there's a show card. If you can like and retweet that, that benefits us. Me specifically, because this is my space. I don't make any money off of this. Like, I do this because I have a passion for basketball and I want to build something that I thought was missing, because I was out there trying to find people who had similar views, who actually wanted to talk about basketball, not talk about why Kyrie Irving isn't playing because he's suspended. Like, we understand that is in the existence of basketball, but until he plays, like, what more can we say? The owner said not here. And guess who owns the team? The owner, right? Anything that happens after that, we'll get to that. And I'm saying this to address some of the people DMing me. Like, we'll get there when we need to get there. But we still have basketball from last night to talk about real quick. The Trailblazers and the Spurs played. And this is a game that the Trailblazers would have lost 4 years ago, right? Like, just think back when it was just Dame and CJ. They would have lost this game coming off of a couple of emotional high wins, feeling good at home. And then a team that plays fundamentally sound basketball would come in here and sneak away with a trap game. Chauncey Billups has his team locked in, ladies and gentlemen, and it's no longer just guard related. They have a wonderful dynamic approach on offense where everybody gets the ball. Last night, once again, Jeremy Grant led the way, 29 points, 6 for 8 from deep, 8 boards, phenomenal defense. Lillard and Simons combined for 45. But more importantly, I want to shout out the rookie Shaden Sharp. He was sharp, 5 for 7 from the floor. But that kid is going to be able to guard the best guard on the opposing team, maybe this time next year, with full confidence. Dia Miller has popped up here, and I already told you to shoot her a follow. Dia, good morning. I hope you're having a great day. Your Blazers won. You're on top of the world. Third best record by win percentage, top in the West. Congratulations. The floor is yours.
Man, I could get used to this. This is after my entire life being not winning a championship. This is this feels good.
It's like the terry cloth robe at a real hotel.
Yeah. It's just such a foreign feeling, like, especially after last season where we just watched them lose over and over and over, and you're just like prying the good away from it to find any semblance of joy. It's nice to be winning. I admittedly did not watch the game yet from last night. I was shooting the Clippers G League, which actually is related, I guess, because Gary Brown the third is not Gary. Great, we have had so many Garys. Greg Brown the third is playing for them right now, but I was tied up with that, and I haven't had a chance to watch the game yet. But Josh told me it was not pretty, but it was a win. So, and I trust his judgment. So, but here's the thing. This is sustainable. This is a team that, they're pulling out the wins, even when it's not pretty, they're managing to do it anyway. And so I, quite frankly, in the past when we've been losing, I'm going to tell on myself here. In the past when we've been losing, I've said things like, well, but look at the takeaways. Like, they played well, or they did this well, or whatever. It doesn't matter that we lost. We just have to get to the playoffs. But now that we're winning, I take that back. I don't care that they played, that it was messy. They won. So I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was just because it was a ugly game, and since that the Spurs are very boring, and they do a very good job of masking actual basketball with boringness. And when I'm watching it, it was really just watching Jakob Podol either eat a rebound and get a putback, or go in on pick and roll. But like, there was really a disjointed offense from San Antonio, and Dame kind of looked like he was going to shoot himself out of it until about midway through, I think, the third quarter. The one thing that I did also take away, and Josh, if you watched it, I want your thoughts too. They have Nurkic, but their best rotation is probably him coming off the bench.
I was gonna say that, like, the Nurk, I've been saying this literally for years. Nurk is such a hot and cold player. Like, when he's hot, and he makes such a difference. And we've seen that a couple times this season where he's played really well and he's looked good, and you feel the difference when he's on the court. But when he's cold, he's really cold. And it almost seems like, taking him out is, like you said, the best option. The difference this year and the good thing this year is they can take him out. In the past, what are we going to do? You take Nurk out, then what? Whereas now, this currently, we've got, they did something a couple games ago that I really liked, where they kind of pulled Justice Winslow in there, which it was an interesting choice, but he really, really did well, and it was a good move. But Drew Eubanks, who was, last year when we were depleted and just really struggling, he was kind of our backup guy, and he has proven to be like, going into this season, I wasn't sure what the status was going to be. I wasn't sure if they were going to go a different direction or whatever. He's not a name that a lot of people really probably knew. But he has been so good. And I think that, again, this goes to the point that you don't always just need a bunch of superstars. There are players whose names we don't know as well or we aren't familiar with, who can do exactly what they need to do on certain teams. And I think, Drew is really stepping up. But I'll say the same thing again that I keep saying. We've got a lot of guys that are really versatile. And so in a situation like this where Nurk is struggling, we've got other people we can use. And I think for once, that's a very good thing. We haven't really had that in the past.
So Nurk's had a couple of Nurk games where he's been like 20 plus points and some rebounds. But like when I watch it, I just see the defense is better. The rebounding seems to be not like Nurk sucks up rebounds, but the actual process of getting into transition just looks cleaner with Drew, in my opinion. Josh, hop in here. You watched last night's game. I like Nurk, but I just think at times Drew Eubanks just simply outplays him.
Well, to me, the Blazers are at their best offensively when the ball's just moving around. And you have Jeremy Grant at the 3-point line, Simons at the 3-point line, Dame at the 3-point line, and everyone's just kind of driving and kicking and attacking the hoop. And the problem with Nurk is that he wants the ball in the post a lot, and so it slows the game down. He backs his defender in, and he doesn't always finish at the rim. My favorite version of Nurk is when he's at the top of the key and he's handing the ball off and screening, and making backdoor passes and things of that nature. Because Nurk is a really good passer. So to me, it's just all on how Chauncey uses him. But Nurk doesn't want to be used in that way all the time. He wants his touches and he wants the ball in the post, and I think that's where Nurk kind of gets into trouble. He wants. He wants to score the basketball. He wants that role in the offense. And I think if, Chauncey can convince him, like, no, you're going to be more of a facilitator, or we're going to use you as a screener. You can be aggressive and go to the hoop from the top of the key. I think that would probably be the best version of this Blazers team, because to me, the best version of this Blazers team does involve Nurk, but it just involves Nurk in a way that Nurk doesn't want to be used, if that makes any sense. So that's my opinion on that. But, Eubanks, he plays hard. To me, he's the reason why they won last night. If I'm being honest, if it wasn't for him, I don't think they win that game. But the Blazers are interesting because they have a bunch of people who are unselfish, who understand that, if I'm not open right now, I'm not going to force it. I'm going to drive. I'm going to kick. And they have a bunch of people who can knock down an open three. And I think Nurk kind of takes away from that sometimes by slowing the ball down when he gets the ball in the post. And to me, if they can fix that, then, with Nurk, they can be pretty dangerous.
All right, yeah, no, I see that exactly the way you described it. All right, so with San Antonio, I've said this in the opening when we talked a little bit about the Spurs. They weren't able to do anything when Trey Jones was out. He was back last night. Bad shooting night, but he's not a great shooter as it is. 2 points, 10 assists in 23 minutes, and I've said it before. I think he's backed his way into the same type of contract his brother got, and if not, he might even start even next year. Keldon Johnson had an off night, but he still had 20 points. Devin Vassell had 21. But then the same thing that's happening to the Utah Jazz, I think, is happening to the Spurs, where the teams have now seen enough tape in terms of the scouting department and the assistant coaches that they're able to take away their best option. And then that is why Jakob Poeltl ended up having 31 points on 14 for 17 because they couldn't stop the rebounding putbacks and the pick and roll. Other than that, it's just going to be a very long season, I think, for San Antonio. as they continue to build the basis behind these two wing players in Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. I want to give a quick word to Doppler to talk about his Spurs in the loss last night to the Trailblazers. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and go to Alan St. Louis so we can look forward to the show coming up today at 5:30. Once again, the Extremely Mid-Range Show on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Doppler, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Give us your take for the Spurs last night. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, to be honest, I wasn't able to watch the game and haven't even watched the recaps, so I was only able to see the box scores and stuff. But I can probably attribute this to their lack of consistencies for the last couple of years, especially I think 2021. And if you notice, we still have most of the cores from that, the core players from those years when they were still inconsistent. So I think it's just still reminiscing or emanating. So and I think that's just one of their opportunity that they can ponder on to improve their consistencies night in and night out. So not much to say in terms of the game specifically. Did you guys hear me on that?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Had a phone call. It's like I said with Trey Jones, he often seemed to know what they wanted to do, and was far more efficient in the last two games without him. But they just don't have the same talent as Portland,
Exactly.
and that's what
Still have
bore
Lillard.
out.
Mm-hmm. He's
Yep. All right, so the last game we really haven't gotten heavy into, ladies and gentlemen, that is the phenomenal offensive output, 153 points by the Sacramento Kings in regulation. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the most points ever scored against the Brooklyn Nets in regulation. Only a double overtime game has more points been scored against the Brooklyn Nets than the 153 that the Sacramento Kings put up on them. They did score 121, and it was nasty. Royce O'Neal had a negative 40 in the box plus minus in only 24 minutes. Like, it got so bad that Jacques Vaughn realized it was just better to not play him. And then they still lost by 32 points. Kevin Durant, 27 in the loss. Edmund Sumner, I told you when he got the starting nod over Kyrie Irving, I was very happy to see that. If you do not know his story, the injuries he had coming out of Xavier, trying to battle his way back through the G League, Fort Wayne Mad Ants, the Indiana Pacers G League. He responded last night, 18 points, 9 for 9, perfect from the free throw line. And that was it. No other starter did anything, noteworthy. Cam Thomas, he can definitely drive and shoot, but he cannot catch and shoot. Ben Simmons, little emergence, 20 minutes, 5 for 7, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 11 points. And every minute he played, there was no anxiety, there was no need of worry, so he actually looked fine. Seth Curry, working his way back from injury, 3 for 6, 9 points. And like, it's depressing because I do sit down and I ask myself what could have been if the Nets were different. But here we are, 153. Shout out to the Sacramento Kings, 7-6, the longest that they have been above 500 or 500 since they were, 2 days ago. Nobody thinks it's gonna last, but I'm sitting here like, yo, this is a different Kings team. DeMontis Sabonis, 17-7. De'Aaron Fox, 14. Kevin Huerter, 19. Keegan Murray had a bad game, and I think tweaked his ankle. But it was Terrence Davis, ladies and gentlemen, 31 points off the bench, 12 for 16 from the floor, 7 for 10, 9 boards. Malik Monk, 6 for 9 for 15. This Kings team plays hard under new coach Mike Brown, and I expect it to continue. Will they be in the top? No, but I see a possible 7 or 8 seed in the top part of the play-in. We have Tony Schwartz, NBA, up here with us. Alan, Shane Lewis, Dia Miller, Micah, Doppler, If you want to come on up, go ahead and come on up. We will welcome you to hop up here. Tony, we'll go to you. Any game that you saw that you want to talk about? If you happen to be up late last night on the Nets Twitter Spaces, if you want to talk about that, because there's some wild stuff in there. How you doing?
I wish I was. I've taken a God of War approach to life as of late, especially late night. And I just put my daughter in daycare yesterday, so there's so much anxiety that I have today specifically because today was the first day that I wasn't there for half a day. So I'm here talking to y'all to get me through this. And I just want everybody to know, I see some Raptors fans in here today. Shout outs to y'all. I do want y'all to know I've been taking MMA lessons. I am prepped for, you guys know that anytime the Heat and the Raptors play, it is basically a music video for Nuck If You Buck. So I'm prepped for tonight. I'm going to be making some content using Nuck If You Buck as always when we play. That's how that goes. I just wanted to shout out everybody today. I didn't really watch too much. I saw Paul George kind of lost me $45. All I needed to do was have him come within 9 points of Luka. I guess I can say this in a broad spectrum. It's Steph Curry, it's Luka Doncic, and it's the field at this point for MVP to me. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just here to talk to get through this day.
There is rumor and report coming out that the Nets locker room and some people in there are starting to get a little anxious about Ben Simmons and his inability to ramp up. Your thoughts, not on that, but on a player that we're looking forward to for the Heat to ramp up, in Victor Oladipo, who did travel with the team, unlike Tyler Hero.
Yeah, surprising. 3 days ago, we had some reporting from the arena that, Tyler was dressed. He was dressed and he looked ready to go, and then he was in street clothes when the game started. So there's something that's going on there. Not 1,000% sure. Probably just the player thinks he's ready to play and the team doesn't. But Victor Oladipo is traveling, which is really surprising. After the Heat very stealthily. This is top tier organizational bullshit right here. They dropped during the news, while the rest of the world was going crazy, that Omer Yurtseven is getting surgery and had a successful surgery on his ankle. So it's welcome that Depot's traveling with the team. I don't think he plays, Chris. I don't know where you stand on this. He just didn't. He doesn't seem ready yet, but by all reports, he's practicing fully. He's traveling. If he starts to play, it's a welcome sight for the Heat. They could really use that kind of bounce right now.
Yeah, I'm getting torn because the career path for Vic is very similar to the career path of Kawhi, and I just have this fear, bro, that he gets out there, he's gonna give you 23 minutes and look fantastic, and then get shut down for 2 weeks.
He's there's a mental battle for him, and he's brought this up. He's very open with it. He has difficulties going left. Taking the ball from his right hand and dribbling left. It's something that he's been working through for the last 2 to 3 years. You can count on one hand how many times I've seen him do a right to left cross since the surgery. So there's probably two components to his. Unlike Kawhi's, who I feel is all physical, his is a little physical and a little mental. So he's got a very unique battle, a unique struggle, but he faces it all. He doesn't feel like one of those guys that's going to shy away from it. The only reason I think that he gets shut down, that he can't play, is if it's career. He's going to hurt himself, and then that's going to be it for the player. He might not walk or something like that. But yeah, there's concerns, bro. And the Heat are desperate for his kind of contribution. They need wing help. They need a guy that can switch onto a wing so desperately from the guard spot. So I do worry about them rushing him back, but I also worry about the team if he's not back in relative anytime soon, because we have a 10-game stretch that is pretty hard.
That's nasty. Also tonight, Indiana at Charlotte at 7, Minnesota at Orlando at 7, Oklahoma City and Washington at 7. Boston will be Atlanta, and the game we're talking about currently, Miami at Toronto at 7:30. Expect to see a heavy dose of Delano Banton, who has been phenomenal in filling in for several injured Raptors. Cleveland will be at Milwaukee at 8 p.m. I think this is a game that we really need to pay attention to what the injury report and what Coach Budenholzer says, because there's been really no word or update, honestly, about Chris Middleton. If you remember, he was good to go at the start of the season in the summer, and then as training camp croached up, there were rumors he wasn't going to be able to be ready. Once preseason happened, it was pretty understood that he wasn't going to play. We're 14 games in, and they don't have the person who is their closer that is not named Giannis. And when Drew doesn't play, this Bucks team becomes extremely vulnerable in terms of overall ceiling.
You know what I find interesting about that?
What?
This is an option year for him.
It is.
He's going into this offseason with a player option, deciding what he wants to do with his future. It's just something to add for context. I don't know how much that's playing a part in it, but it's just interesting that this is the year that's happening as well.
And I asked this at the beginning of the season, and it's really just because I kind of had an understanding that Middleton wasn't going to play. Is this Milwaukee window shut? And I think it's all based upon Middleton's health.
I think they think it's narrow. You don't see the Grayson Allen stuff last week if they weren't trying to capitalize on a window. I also think that Giannis has a level that he's reached that puts him in that top 3 air right now. I mean, he's on a revenge tour. You can see it. The dude's locked in offensively and defensively right now. He's doing it with not a lot of help. I think the Javon Carter spark has been great. Drew Holiday is still consistently one of the better point of attack defenders in the league, even though I think that there's some regression there from him. He's getting something out of Wesley Matthews and guys like that. But I don't think Grayson Allen's being shopped if they're not in this spot where, they're trying to capitalize on this 1 through 7 rotation and hope Chris Middleton comes back and they get an 8th. But they're not that deep. They're like one injury away from not being as scary as they are right now.
They are relying on Marjan Beauchamp, and he's phenomenal in his minutes. But rookies don't sustain like that. Like no rookie does, unless they're like LeBron James. And I think that's also the big worry is when does this rug actually get pulled out from underneath them? And I think it's actually this year.
Well, it's like what happens when Javon Carter gets injured, or if Drew Holiday. I shouldn't say when. If Drew Holiday gets injured, like there's not enough depth there to sustain them. They have to consolidate talent right now, regardless of Chris Middleton, to try and get some more depth in their rotation, at least in the short term.
Also tonight we have Chicago at New Orleans, and at this point, we have to be honest. If Chicago can't start winning a couple of these games, there's going to be a lot of talk about how they're going to try to be a buyer with minimal assets. There's some people in Chicago who, despite Billy Donovan's success, are starting to also wonder if he needs to go, even openly comparing him to Jim Boylan, which is hilarious. That'll be in New Orleans at 8 o'clock. 8:30, you have Dallas and Houston. Once again, I would like to take this time to apologize to you if you had spent any time watching the Houston Rockets on your league pass after I said week after week during the offseason that they are going to be an exciting watch. They're not. Not unless you like watching bad turnovers and a coach that looks like he has no moves because his hands are tied. Denver hosts New York at 10 p.m. I think Nikola Jokic is determined to win a game with 0 shots taken and 20 assists. Like, I think that he goes to bed at night wishing he could do that. I really do. And I look forward to watching him carve up Isaiah Hartenstein because they have a really good relationship with Hartenstein's time in Denver. It's going to be very fun to watch. They joke a lot about it. Denver, New York, 10 p.m. And then you close with the Phoenix Suns hosting the Golden State Warriors. And if you haven't been on Warriors Twitter lately, please go visit. It's hilarious right now. They are going back and forth at each other in a manner that reminds me of the fall of Rome. Not saying that the Golden State Warriors are Rome and they're going to fall, but there are some issues, and I think that a lot of people are now starting to see that there might need to be a change because maybe the parts that they did lose aren't there, and we have that to look forward to tonight. All right, we're 12:15. I want to say thank you to everybody popping through here. I want to go to Alan again so he can go ahead and tell you about his upcoming show at 5:30. And then we're going to actually get ready to close out a little bit early as I have to go drop off my son's homework, which they called, and it happens. The Extremely Mid-Range Show, 5:30 every other Wednesday over here on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube by my man Alan Shane Lewis. And if you're wondering where he's been, right, like Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter got that, but he's been on Netflix. He's been on the NBA TV, which I watch religiously, and he's the host of the Great Canadian Baking Show on CBC. And he's a grinder, just kind of like we all are here. So hop in for the ride, shoot him a follow, and get prepared to laugh as we get ready to cover basketball in a comedic fashion. Alan, go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah. So I've been covering the NBA for years. I've been playing basketball for 30 years. I've been try to play uni and I try to get a job and everything like that through basketball. Then I found out, these niggas is way faster than me, way taller than me, way more athletic. So I kind of stepped away from that and got into comedy. And now I'm back bringing the two together, comedy and basketball. It's been a wild ride. And I just started this new venture called the Extremely Mid-Range Show. Comedy first, basketball talk. The same way how Chris, it's not about just talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again every week. It's about just deep discussions about basketball. So that's what the show is aimed at. That's why it's every 2 weeks, because there's a lot that happens in 2 weeks, but I want to bring it all to you in a synthesized, funny way. Like even today's episode of 5:30 is titled "This is Why You Suck" or "Here's Why You Suck," and I want to just go down list by list of some of the teams that have been sucking and some reasons why, and not even just teams, some concepts, some ideas, refs, NBA app, all these different things. So that's been something I've been pushing right now. And join up. I do a lot of different interviews. I'm talking to different Raptors fans. I have a Raptors ASMR session. I go into Vernon Maxwell's Twitter history too as well. Don't know. That
Vernon is crazy, man.
Hall of Fame hater. Put his name in the rafters. He's been holding on to it for about 40 years of hatred. And I can only salute to that crazy man who I'd only want on my side. If he was against me, I'd be afraid of him. But all that and more on the show. Yeah.
So when it comes to comedy, like you said how you broke in, tweeting on Black Twitter, getting managers, getting shows. But when you realized that was the path you were going down to, you had to have looked, up and done some research in history, watched endless amount of bits and stand up and routines, improv, whatever. What brought out the best in you? Who was your inspiration? Give me your top 3 comics, and I'll give you mine so you're not out there by yourself.
Top 3, it always changes. Like I grew up watching Dave Chappelle. That was somebody that I really did idolize. Right now, I gotta say like Michael Che's up there, Jim Gaffigan. A lot of local people like Nathan McIntosh, who just moved out to the States, Dave Merhej. There's just like an endless supply of new comics, and it's kind of interesting because we're now shifted into this world of content and people posting up clips of stand-up comedy. And as much as I really do appreciate people coming out and clicking like and following on the TikToks, you got to come in person. Nothing beats in live. Definitely support live. Our jobs for like a whole 2 years. So if you have an opportunity to go see your local person, I always have this joke at the beginning of the show. I'm like, I love people who come to a comedy show who have no idea who's on the show, just gambling with a Friday night, like let's do drugs later. Like support people who just like, let's just do it. You know, I'm not waiting for the big name to come here because the big names are there. The big names are all around you. It's just the fact that you aren't giving them the attention. So go to your local comedy store or local comedy spot and just support the local people. And yeah, and if you like them, follow them. Like treat them like musicians, and you know, support their careers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say for me, Richard Pryor and Dave Chappelle are up there. And the third one is it always ends up coming down to two people, and it's George Carlin.
Oh yes, yeah,
and Lewis Black.
yeah. Just really good ranty people. That's the one thing. There's like different degrees of like comedy. I always find like, you know, when you can make your opinions funny. That's
exactly. Yeah, love that.
But you have the ability to not worry about jokes per minute, but build this kind of this tension for as long as you need to, and then boom, pop it with something poignant or funny, and it takes mastery of work and so many years of sucking. Like it just takes of just going on stage and just seeing blank faces for you to fully feel comfortable in expressing yourself like that and trying to make it funny. And to anybody who wants to do comedy and is trying to do comedy, I used to teach a class, but one thing I always say, you can't teach anything really in stand-up. I can only give you words of wisdom that I wish I had when I started. Uh, every joke that you have that you think is funny. Now it's your job to make sure contextually the audience finds it funny too. So that's the hard work. People always think that, oh, if I just say this word, this is going to be funny. No, it could be, but you have to explain contextually why you think it's funny and why someone else who doesn't know you and know your experiences thinks it's funny. So always write with that in mind.
Look at that, dropping gems. I hope all of you caught that because like that is 100% fact. Like that is just God's honest truth, and it's hard. And like he said, you will fail. It is miserable, but you got to do it because you laugh at yourself. I did. Yeah. Oh man, there was a couple that I just looked at myself. It's like that was horrible. Tony, cop in here because you are actually
I'm just
a funny guy
offended.
too.
I'm a touch offended that nobody said I inspired them to be great. I feel like I'm a very inspiring character. I should be on everyone's top 3 list. It's kind of nuts that right here in front of God and all these people that I was shafted this way. It's nuts.
Well, you know, you inspire me, Tony. You inspire me just like the greatness of Coleslaw and Doc Rivers.
Don't do this. Don't
what?
do this.
Don't do what?
I'm Chris. It's too early. I'm on my first cup of coffee. It's dark outside still for some reason. I don't know what's going on in Florida. It seems to be the end times. Just don't do this.
Well, if it's the end times, you know, have a proper meal and get some coleslaw. It's delicious and nutritious, and your mom will, you know, be thankful.
I'm surprised your comedy career failed. This is a really great bit.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that. Gives you an extra point. All right, you got the scores from last night. You've been told you've got to check out the new show that's coming up at 5:30 p.m. You can catch it on Twitch, YouTube, and here on Twitter Live, the extremely mid-range show with Alan Shane Lewis. But before we go, we're going to start talking about the jerseys. Alan here actually reached out to talk about the jerseys. I'm going to get the tweets up here to have some of the jerseys up here. And I'm just going to let Alan do his thing. I put out one because I live in Indianapolis. I live in the Indianapolis area. And like it looks like a 1970s brick oven that you would put in like outside. And it's just god awful. And I need to know, do you feel like I do if the Pacers are the worst? Because I just like they're getting roasted like here in their own city from a whole bunch of people who are like the nicest people I've ever met.
Is it true that Milwaukee had to take down the Cream City jerseys? Those are done?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Let's talk about it. Oh, Alex.
I'm waiting for the Cream City to play the Clit. Like that's gonna be
me and you both have.
That's that matchup of the century.
You know the funny thing is, dudes in Charlotte are repping that.
Is that like a thing? Like Like in Charlotte, are people talking about their airport code like that? Like this is CLT? Like, is it something you like hail up? Because
Somebody was talking to me. This is so funny you say that. I had the dude hype me up for 30 minutes. I'm like, damn, I got a layover in Charlotte. He's like, you're going to love it. Charlotte Airport is crazy. Charlotte Airport had one bar that nothing but 45-year-old white women were hitting on people trying to get them to go home. I'm like, what? I've never seen a worse experience in my life.
That's his Super Bowl right there. He's just like, ooh, look at all these Melindas and Karens and Tanyas. Hi, cutie. Like he's having a time at the airport. If you're like all about the airport, I feel like your city might not be popping. You know, like as much as I love Toronto, like YYZ, like I don't care about. I'm not gonna pick that airport up. If you come to Toronto and you visit only around the airport, you're in Mississauga. You're in a different city. That's a sad place to be. It's really industrial. So I'm not a big airport person, and I travel a bunch for things. But you know what? The worst thing about these New Jerseys, and I have to say this, I have to give the Boston Celtics love. I have to do it.
Clean.
They're very nice jerseys. Like that's a good green. That's a good font. I kept saying, I'm like, they need to update that. Like there's a couple teams in this league that I feel like are just holding on to these old school. Same thing in the NHL too. But like Boston holding on to it, Chicago, Spurs, they kind of do that. But these Celtics jerseys, I have to say, these are very nice. I'm still confused about the Miami ones. I feel like this missing persons or like kidnapping letters stuff, I feel like they're trying to make that catch on.
It's okay. It's okay. You wouldn't understand. There's culture in every stitch. It's fine.
I get it. It's all your old jerseys kind of mashed together. But give me the Miami, the Vice one, whatever that one. That one was fun. Give me some of that.
They can't reuse it, right? Like we got to let it sit for a while.
Oh, you guys let things sit? I don't know if you've seen the Toronto Raptors, but we love Drake in his colors at all times. Like that's
that black and gold never leaves.
He right about the Miami ones, man. Like it is literally like somebody is trying to write a letter to the FBI. Why y'all do that?
I like it. I think you have to buy it. You got to buy it, wear it. It's a whole different fit. Let me get to a Tyler Hero jersey. I got you.
It's gonna say Hero signed by Zodiac Killer at the bottom. These Portland ones are fresh. I have to say that. I don't know if anyone's been watching them. They just kind of played on them last night. I like that. I like the color. I like when a team just does a whole different color and has a little fun. And like I still don't know why you're hating on them Pacers jersey. That Pacers jersey is, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it.
Maybe if I was like 18 years old and I was on a team and I had those jerseys, I think those are fire, and that's where my mentality kind of is still. But maybe not as a professional team, but they do look nice.
I like that we're getting full circle with the classics, that we can bring back the Pistons and the Houston Rockets. Like the remixed retros, I really mess with that.
Yeah.
If you're down below and you haven't seen the entire list, I put up the USA Today's rankings. I think the rankings are wrong, but it's got the pictures of every jersey, so you can click up there and you can follow along. The two teams I thought that really missed out on doing something any worthwhile was the Chicago Bulls and the Orlando Magic. Like I just thought they mailed it in. What do y'all think?
Yeah, that was definitely that they were due in the morning, and then somebody just said send. They're kind of simple.
Chris, yeah, I wanted to say, Washington, stop stealing our vibe. Spurs, stop stealing our vibe. The Miami Heat mashup jerseys are one of the originals. Nobody else can custom make their jerseys to their own fitting, to their own uniqueness. I love it because every font has a story behind it. We can talk about how nasty the Golden State Warriors look like some Optimus jerseys
the
look like.
Hoop Squad jerseys.
Yeah, the Optimus jerseys, bro. They straight look like Optimus jerseys. Like even Optimus jerseys look better when they had a little money cash going around. But the Nolas, they look classic. But again, we talking about Miami when there's literally jerseys called Cream City. You know what I'm saying? Like what is that? And CLT. What is that, Chris?
I gotta give you correction on the Spurs.
Yeah.
You just might not be old enough, but the Spurs actually kind of predated you with funky jerseys.
20 years.
And Washington, by the way, that was actually that was a twofer, right? That's I even think the person who designed it had something to do with the cherry blossoms story and how they originated in DC as a gift from Japan. So like, there's actually a story behind that one for the Wizards. But
You
the
know, you know what
Spurs,
else had a story?
what?
There was a 5-minute prelude before we played the Portland Trailblazers about how Damian Lillard sat down and designed the Portland Trailblazers jersey. It probably took him that same 5 minutes to design that jersey. 5 minutes I'm never getting back.
Yeah, still dropping bars though, right?
Damn right.
The Memphis jerseys look like regular Kings jerseys to me. That was disappointing too.
I got a little bit of slander, Chris.
What you got?
When the Raptors were not in Toronto, they had better city jerseys, and I guess that's because
Let's
Blake was
talk
far
about
away
it.
from them.
Ooh,
Let's talk about it.
Ooh.
they kind of mailed that one in too. Like
Tampa Bay Raptors.
the Toronto jersey kind of reminds me of like what FIFA 2020 wanted you to do, or NBA 2K wants you to do, and buy the gold jersey.
The whole Toronto rap, like the new one that they have here, is supposed to like be indicative of all the different boroughs in Toronto, and they're trying to make the whole six. Like, first off, I'm old school. I don't call Toronto the six. That's a Drake euphemism. That's all the people who are kind of younger. It's still T Dot where I'm from. Cardinal Fish, I'll shout out. But what I want, and I think a lot of different Raptors fans, because what the Raptors did when they first came out, and it was why Vancouver failed, is they attacked the youth. They came at the youth very strong with their marketing, and it worked. I got indoctrinated very young. Like, I saw the team come in the league, but they need the purple and reds. They need the purple. There was somebody online who I found out he has these amazing jerseys. I'll send them to you for what he thought of for the Raptors jerseys, and they look great. And he even had a black and purple one, which I'm like, bring that out too. Why aren't we messing with these colors?
We can all agree that I think that even in our least creative efforts, Toronto, Miami, at least they're original. I'm not quite sure what Minnesota is doing. It reminds me, remember those 1990s plastic cups with the purple and blue swoosh on it? It kind of reminds me of that vibe. This is like a 90s Windows startup screen going on in Minnesota.
My son, we don't do a lot of fashion stuff, but he looked at the Brooklyn ones and he was like, "Did a kid do that?" And I just busted out laughing.
I want to remind y'all, we all work for pennies on the dollar, struggling single fathers like me. Very inspirational. People are getting paid thousands of dollars to design these jerseys, and I really don't understand this.
I ain't gonna lie, Chris. They keep on missing on those 76er jerseys. Like, Jesus, what's going on? Who's scripting those fonts?
Wait, what's wrong? What's wrong with the 70s style brotherly love jersey?
Chris, it looked like a kindergarten drew on it.
Let me see this. I actually haven't paid much attention to what they did.
Like that. Like, have you ever seen any of the old 76ers jerseys? It's calligraphy.
Yeah,
they use it's calligraphy. They ain't writing. Not like the Nets that just kind of scribbled it up there, like some postmodernism.
I like Atlanta's and Celtics doing that, like, old English type font. I'm good with that. That's a clean design.
That one is coinciding with the final season of Atlanta, right? Because that Atlanta,
yes,
giving me Donald Glover vibes right there.
Yo, I got them, man. These that purple and black is dope. Wow.
Right? That person put their whole foot in that design for the Raptors.
Absolutely. Hey, shout outs to Orlando to keep dropping the same jersey every year and making kids pay for it. That's nuts.
$100.
Capitalism at its finest right there, my boy.
Hey, look, if you ain't Orlando has one of the worst halftime like sequences, and I thought they were the worst. But did you catch what they were doing in Utah last night?
Yes. I've got a one worse for you, but go ahead and tell them what they were doing in Utah.
So they roll out a man or woman in a fat man air suit, blowing a trumpet because they're the Jazz in Salt Lake City. And like I can't even explain it. And then you have break dances that don't really fit in with the Fat Man suit, and another dude in another black suit doing something completely. It was literally like Left Shark all over again.
Two of my favorite. Go ahead.
I couldn't take my eyes away from it, and like it just proved to me, matter of fact, once again, like why I don't go to Utah. Like I just don't understand Utah. Like
they during Black History Month last year had a dance off.
Tony, don't do it.
They had a dance off with 3. Man, it was the wildest shit I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, we can't do this. We can't have a Little Baby song playing and 3 30 to 55-year-old white women dancing in the middle of Black History Month. Like, we can't do it. That was crazy, only in Utah. And then turn around after that, the next week I flipped on a Milwaukee game. And this shit, I swear to God, I can't lie to you. I had to ask somebody who went to a Milwaukee game if they saw this too. You know how most arenas have a t-shirt gun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Milwaukee has a hot dog gun. They roll out the hot dog Gatling gun and pop off hot dogs into the crowd. They're throwing hot dogs. It was nuts. It was nuts. Midwest cities are gone.
Oh man, I'm sitting here and like whenever we go see the Pacers, we get stuck with Boomer. Like this is how you know Indianapolis truly is a boring city. Like even the mascot is bored. Like it's the kingdom of boredom. But even they do better than what was last night in Seattle. I'm not Seattle, Utah. It was bad. Like it was so bad. Like I'm scarred for life. But I got to check out the hot dog gun. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, Chris.
What's up? No, that's just
2 things. Yeah, they need to go ahead and hire Red Panda. And I don't know. As soon as Tony started the sentence with Black History in Utah, I knew it wasn't gonna go good.
You would think that any PR director in Utah would have thought the same thing, Kate. You would have thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Nah. Dwayne Wade couldn't help it.
So that's where the All-Star game is. I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's gonna be despicable.
It's gonna be lit.
It might just be lit. It might.
Non-basketball news that I wanted to get this out here. I wanted to know if y'all heard about this. Y'all remember the Fire Festival, right? Nah, y'all don't. You don't remember the Fire Festival?
Yeah, I was supposed to perform on that.
For real? Wow. I was about to say that. Damn. All right. The dude's getting out of jail, right? Billy McFarland getting out of jail, right? 6-year jail sentence. You know what the first thing he said he wanted to do was?
Fire Festival 2.
Treasure Hunt in Bahamas.
Another fire festival. It's called Prite or Pier in the Bahamas.
Listen, I think that, when you have a vision, you have to attack it wholeheartedly. You dedicate your life to your why. This man wakes up every day. He has one goal in mind. I respect it.
I ain't gonna lie, Chris. I would have thought that this man is setting up the World Cup as well if you've seen those conditions.
Oh God! Can we talk about that for 2
seconds? Yeah. Go ahead. If you don't know, Tony will set the stage and then give his opinion.
Qatar is hosting the World Cup this year, and they have currently how you always have an Olympic Village. It's just kind of where people commingle and get to blow off the pressures of competing at the highest level for your sport, right? And for your country, the pressures that go with that and the performance anxiety issues and the mental health issues. You need a place that you can go where you're not going to be judged by your peers, with your peers, right? The Olympic Village in Qatar is literally like FEMA setup housing. It's just plastic sheets.
East Oakland.
It's disgusting. It's rows on rows on rows of tents, not homes, not houses. It's not like climate temperatures right now. They just have these Olympic athletes. I guess it's temporary housing from what I understand, but like, if this is the temporary, where are they going? Like, why did this have to be established? Like, that sounds like you haven't built the housing yet. So I don't really trust that they're going to be in a spot and that this is where the athletes are going to stay. I think people are probably going to start dropping out pretty soon. I can't imagine that this is going to be something that the Olympic Committee is going to allow.
Well, the World Cup,
or the World Cup. Sorry,
FIFA.
FIFA.
Yeah. So having spent plenty of time in that region of the world, those are the fan village housing. Those are connexes, or are shipping containers, right? Modified shipping containers. They are probably they're not made directly as shipping containers. I'm telling you, that's where the design was from, because that is actually what the United States government military started to build for soldiers who are deployed, instead of tents, because the war was gonna take a little bit longer than apparently what people thought, and so like this new microeconomy based on affordable housing of shipping containers has actually like been quietly developing over the last 20 years. Also with like the small mini homes. And so FIFA, who gives two rats ass, they don't care nada about nobody because they get paid, literally went to the cheapest route and picked up all these containers because they didn't want to spend money on the infrastructure. When you look at what happened to Brazil, right? Like, Brazil spent billions of dollars by the time everything's said and done, by the time they're paying the loans. And like, they have stadiums that can't be used, they have housing that can't be used.
Yeah. And that's a mistake of the country. Like, there's this ideal that you can get an Olympic, like host
Or
an
an Olympic level
event,
event.
and that the profit from tourism is going to benefit you so greatly that you can pay the taxes over the course of 10 years. And you've watched for the last 20 that just not be the case. But yet, countries still fall into this hole over and over again. Or go this route, which is even, I don't know which one's worse, honestly, because the Brazilians are in a really rough spot right now. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough all around.
So that's probably why the United States, and like the way that they're trying to force FIFA and the Olympic Committee, the IOC, is like the United States is going to have to team up with Canada and Mexico, right? So that they can say, we can give you an entire hemisphere, right, with the integrated transportation system, where we could be spread out, right, and then like we can rotate it in the West, and we'll get every odd year, right, and then you got to figure out how you're going to do it, like with Europe. And the EU will have to get together and somehow lump in the UK, which decided to leave the EU, and then like and then you'd have Asia, right? And like somehow they're gonna have to figure it out where it only stays within countries that can actually facilitate it. Because what's happening is abysmal. But what's gonna happen in Qatar, like, it's gonna be like Sochi, which was the Russian Winter Olympics, when shit's just gonna fall apart. JF, go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, Chris. Just to give a brief history to start it off, Seth Blatter is the person to blame behind all this. The people who run Qatar, or who was bidding for Qatar, it's already came out and said that they spent over $900 million on just bribery, just to get themselves in there. So when you look at it, what money do they have for infrastructure? And this is where Seth Blatter and the FIFA organization really don't care about what happens to it, because again, they didn't worry about how things need to be built. Like, I think South Africa did a great job with how they did it. I think Brazil's in a tough spot right now just because they didn't economically have the money to build. And FIFA not giving out no money. It's kind of like, well, we're the product. What are you going to do for us? So I think I don't know. I just hate that these players are going to be in bad living conditions, and it's to the point where they obviously knew they couldn't have the FIFA in the summer because it's too damn hot, and they put it in November. That's during the European leagues and all the other leagues. So you might not even have some superstars. Like I think there's one major superstar from France. He's not even playing. He just got injured in pre-training. So just I love that we can always watch the World Cup, but I think it's such a disservice to like what's happening right now, because if you really see the videos, there's not even AC in the tents, no AC in the tents, and you're gonna tell me that they're gonna be able to pull off in there? Hell no, Chris. It looks really really bad. Not even gonna lie.
So, you hear like the amount of money spent on just getting it done through back channel negotiations, but like South Africa spent $3 billion, and the supposed financial windfall for them was 38 billion. Like that's why people want to do this is like you pay a lot up front, get more on the back end. But this is definitely bad. If you haven't seen it, you can just Google it. There's so many stories. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but it's something that needs to be said. And then not even really discussed is the toll on the migrant workers who oftentimes are from
Yes.
other countries like Indonesia, Panesia. There's the micro islands in Indonesia, Guam, all the way out from Guam. You got Vietnam. We'll send people from Abu Dhabi, uh, East Africa, India, and Pakistan. Like they get these migrant workers, and most of them are just basically laborers, and they fall for the trap where they get paid up front, and then they get transported, but then they have to work to get the money to go back.
Yeah, and
It's
a
horrible.
lot of the labor thing is a whole other discussion, because a lot of royals will have servant workers that are akin to like labor contracts, which is slavery adjacent. Um, and that's where a lot of this labor comes from for Abu Dhabi. That comes with Saudi. It's labor contracted workers that don't, there's no shifts or time off. You're working, and that's what you do. And if you don't, there's crazy harsh penalties up to death. So the labor is a whole nother discussion.
Yep. So I enjoy the World Cup. I enjoy international soccer. I'll be watching it, but I also understand the entirety of it, and it makes me actually kind of come back and say, like that's why I think the NBA is the sport that is primed for global expansion, because it is a league that brings in with it a history of economic success that can uplift local economies. And I think that if the NBA reaches its ultimate destination, the plans and dreams of David Stern, having a full, truly global league, that's a positive force for change. So hopefully, we can take that model, and when we run the World Cup, because I think we'll get it, we can show the world, how it's done, and then that way we can set a precedent, and then that way we're not causing undue harm to enjoy.
Just don't tell Turner Sports about that.
Yeah, don't tell them that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. I'm gonna hit this button. We have up on stage JFK, Tony Schwartz, NBA, and Alan Shane Lewis. JFK comes in every day, and we thank you for your support. You can catch Tony Schwartz, NBA, popping in 5 Reason Sports Miami Heat coverage, both on Spaces, off Spaces, on podcast. But make sure you shoot a follow because he gives you the keys to the game as well as some inside Bettor's Edge information. So if you are one of those people who do like to gamble on sports, hit my man Tony up, shoot a follow. Bettor's Edge is where he's at. Get there. And then today, 5:30 p.m., you can catch the Extremely Mid-Range Show with Alan here. Look, Alan Shane Lewis, noted comedian, host extraordinaire, NBA TV, Netflix, Canadian Baking Company. Dude's been everywhere. should shoot him a follow. Check him out, 5:30. That's it. I'm looking forward to tonight. The game I'm most looking forward to, I'm not going to lie, Boston and Atlanta. I got to see this game, Boston and Atlanta.
That's a good bet. Bam is out tonight, so it's just going to be Caleb Martin fighting all 5 Raptors for 4 quarters.
Miami's got a long night.
Long night.
Everyone in Toronto was injured, man. We losing our 6th man right now, so it's gonna be a dogfight for sure.
Drake can't play the 4.
Shout out to Delano Banton. I've been had you on my fantasy team.
Rexdale, stand up. As I'm at an age where I'm like, I'm buying young kids' work uniform, and he was the first person I purchased that was younger than me, and I got to support the kid. Local kid, doing great.
All right, there you go. And one last time, ladies and gentlemen, for Jordan Poole. It's time, Golden State fans. It's time. Just let it go. Like, life happens. And what happens in life is change. You cannot escape change. Even you trying to escape change changes your experience of the event of change. I just gave you the circular reason as to why Jordan Poole should be your starter over Klay Thompson. Sometimes in life, shit just changes. Peace out. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Have a good one.